This podcast is part of the Planet Broadcasting Network.
Visit planetbroadcasting.com for more podcasts from our great mates.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Do Go On. My name is Dave Warnicky, and as always, I'm here with Matt Stewart and Jess Perkins.
Or as they call us in the biz.
Sass Twins.
Oh, yep. Thank you.
Oh no, I wish you'd let her Jess have a little bit more of a second there to think about what she was going to say.
Hey, Sassy Jess.
I was going to improv, and that's never good.
Hey, little Dave. How's it going, everybody?
Hey, it's going.
Isn't it good to be alive?
Yes, it's great. I'm ready to be sassed.
Yep.
Yep. Prepare yourself.
For new listeners, when Dave does the report, Jess and I combine to create the Sass Twins, a very powerful duo who take Dave down with sass.
I'm imagining like the Hulk. Like we get quite big. We're also pink, so no copyright issues.
Yeah.
But we're conjoined twins.
I really hope someone out there is going, actually, the Hulk in Series 32 was pink due to a colouring issue at the inking.
So you are going to have a few copyright issues. You will need permission.
I also hope that's the thing.
That
but
would be
you had
fantastic.
no other objections to how I imagine the Sass Twins.
No, I love the rest of it.
Wonderful. We're also wearing loincloths.
Yeah.
And you can join, so you combine sort of Power Rangers style and become one.
Yes.
Love it.
Yeah.
Hey, Dave, people can watch a new fantastic new web series from next Friday. Is that right?
Yes, that is absolutely
You
right.
look so confused. You told me to bring this up moments ago.
Well, it looks like the sasser has become sassed.
You're about to plug the West Wing or something. Yes.
Yeah. Let me bring up the date it airs on Channel 9 here. No, we have been working on for the last 6 months, somewhat unsecretly. I can't remember if we've talked about it that much, but a web series version of this show, which will be coming out, Australian time, Friday, May 22nd, which is next Friday, a little bit over a week away, and we are very excited.
I'm excited to see it again because we filmed it at the end of last year, so it's been a while, and I've forgotten it all. So I'm excited to watch it. It'll be like brand new for me.
I remember it was 9 of the best ever topics we've ever done.
Yes.
And these are exclusive to the web series.
And 9 of the best ever outfits we've ever worn.
Oh, we look so good.
We look hot.
We got a set put together and everything. It's real cool.
Yeah, we had a great time. So
well, it's weird me saying this is real cool.
okay, do you want me to say it?
I really want the listeners to say it to me.
Okay.
What about it was fun?
It was fun. I think I can say fun.
Yeah, it was fun to make.
Yeah.
Hopefully it's fun to watch. And it will be debuting, because we made it with the good people at Stupid...
Debuting.
Sorry, debuting.
Debuting.
Debutting.
On the Stupid Old channel on YouTube, because we made it with the great people at Stupid Old Studios.
Yes. So head over there and subscribe right now.
Yes.
So you don't miss a thing.
There'll be a link, I guess, in the
Yeah.
show notes.
I'll link
but I
it.
think it's if you just search Stupid Old Channel, you should be able to find it. If people are looking at YouTube things, I'm doing some YouTube chats. I did one with Dave a few weeks ago. Hopefully doing one with Jess soon. I'm talking to her people. They haven't got back to me as yet.
So you're not talking. You're leaving messages for people.
Well, it's a one-way convo thus far.
Call me back.
But I've done one with Dave, one with Evan Munro-Smith, one with Cass Page, and you can see them at youtube.com/Matt Stewart. And there's some old stand-up stuffs on there as well, bits and pieces.
So you're going to be seeing a lot of our mugs coming up.
Oh, yeah. We've gone mug heavy.
Should we print mugs?
Yes.
Okay.
That's mug heavy.
Our mug's on a mug. That's good.
That's good.
That's good.
That is
That is
good.
Anyway, the way this show works, Jess always explains it best.
So, my name's Jess. That one over there is called Dave. The other guy is Matt.
Hello.
Together, we are Do Go On. And what we do here at Do Go On is that one of us does research on a topic, brings it into the group, reports back to the others. In this case, the Sass Twins annihilate Dave at any opportunity we can. And hopefully we'll do a little bit of learning and a little bit of laughing.
The full name is Savage Sass Twins.
Yeah, the SST.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's how the show works. I think that was beautifully described.
Thank
now
you.
let's see if this Poindexter can come good with his part of the bargain. The other thing we should mention is, sometimes we do interrupt and it's annoying. Anyway, Dave, we normally start the report with a question. What's your question this week?
All right, I got a question and then a follow-up question.
Ooh,
So-
2 questions.
So you can get a point each here. The question is, first of all, which team was the talk of the 1992 Olympic Games?
The Dream Team.
It is the Dream Team. 1 point. But follow-up question for you, Jess. A lot harder, but if you get it, I'll give you 2.
Fuck you. It's not going to be. I'm not going to get it.
Which other country's 1992 basketball team should we all know?
Is it Croatia?
It is not I mean, they did well at the Olympics,
Is
which
it
we'll
the
talk about.
Boomers?
It's not the Boomers.
Oh,
Is
is it
it-
going to be? Is it the equivalent of Eric the Eel sort of thing? Like they'd never seen a basketball court before?
Well, almost.
Oh, who could it be?
Uh,
Iceland.
I keep wanting to say China. I don't know why.
It is not Iceland or China. It is Lithuania.
Oh, Lithuania.
Yes, and I've written Lithuania, baby.
Okay. So this report is about Lithuania.
Well, it is about... So I messaged you guys saying it's my longest report ever.
Yes.
That's because it is about not 1, but 2 topics basically in one.
Incredible.
We are going to be talking about the 1992 Dream Team and also the 1992 Lithuanian men's basketball team.
Okay.
Fantastic. We haven't done a sports topic in a little while, I reckon.
I kind of chose this one because the fact that there's no sport on at the moment. I figured, well,
Yeah.
maybe people are looking for a sports story.
Yeah, great.
And I've got one that I personally, especially the second half of the story, I'd never heard anything about before.
Have you
Cool.
watched any of the Michael or the Chicago Bulls series, The Last Dance?
I have watched a bit of it.
Yep.
I purposely skipped ahead just so I watched there's an episode that mentions the Dream Team. Doesn't cover it too much, but I was like, imagine if I hadn't watched that bit in 2 weeks when I get to that episode 5, I'd be like, oh,
Oh, God.
wish I
damn
watched
it.
that. So yeah. You been watching it, Matt?
Yeah, I have, yeah.
Yeah, it's
Loving it.
really good. It's really good.
I've also seen bits of it.
Yeah, obviously you're the only
Just
basketballer
saying.
in the trio. That went without saying.
Yeah,
That's
you're a
cool.
real b-baller. Where were you in 92? Were you on the Dream Team?
Of course. No.
She was dribbling, that's for sure.
My brother used to have a poster of Michael Jordan in his bedroom when we were kids. That was cute. I think now that I think about it, I think he also had a Yahoo Serious poster, like a what was the Ned Kelly one?
Reckless Kelly.
Reckless Kelly. I think he had a Reckless Kelly poster as well. I've just remembered that.
Yeah.
Not relevant.
That sounds like an 80s or 90s basketball player to me, Reckless Kelly.
Yeah.
He had some wicked names, which we'll talk about a few of them. All right, so the 1988 Olympics were held in Seoul, and it was pivotal to both teams in this report. Going into the competition, the USA had only ever lost 1 match at the Olympics.
Whoa.
In 1972, they lost the gold medal match to bitter rivals, the Soviet Union. Team USA won silver that year, but every other Olympics since 1936, the men's team walked away with gold. That's 9 gold medals and 1 silver, so they had an incredible track record.
Oh.
Then in 1988, it was again the Soviet Union that had them unstuck. The Soviets beat them in the semi-final, then went on to win the gold medal over Yugoslavia. So the USA played off against Australia for the bronze medal. Sadly, Australia, including our great hero, Andrew Gaze, lost, and the Americans got the bronze.
Have I talked about how much I loved Andrew Gaze as a child?
Maybe.
I fucking loved Andrew Gaze.
Who didn't?
I mean,
Yeah.
I still love him.
Gazey. G'day.
I
How's it
named a
going? What
goldfish
guy.
Gaze.
Yeah. I bet he was probably the star of that pond.
Big time.
Yeah.
I loved Andrew Gaze.
Andrew Gaze, for non-Australians, he's sort of like the Shakespeare of Australia.
Of the
Yes.
Australian basketball court.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
He's
yes.
the Michael Jordan of Australia. He was, I think, maybe the second ever player to win an NBA championship ring when he was on maybe like
The second ever Australian player.
Australian player, yes. I think Luke Longley was the first. Maybe he was the second. I don't know if he saw any court time, but I think he got a ring for sitting on the bench.
Yeah, we'll
for the
take
Spurs,
that.
I'm
We'll
pretty
take
sure.
that.
And that is the sweetest way to win a ring.
Fact check required. I want to get an actually on that as well, please.
Actually. And now he commentates sometimes.
Yeah.
And he's great. He's
Yeah.
so fun to listen to because he just gets very into it. I love him.
He's a fun guy.
Love
His
him a
dad
lot.
was a champion
Lindsay.
coach.
Yeah, I think what between them they did 8 Olympics in a row or something absolutely incredible.
I have a signed copy of his autobiography, which I got when I was about 10. And I was too young to read it, but I have it.
But did you get the signature or did it come with a signature?
Came with the signature.
Nice.
So does Gazy come up much in this report?
Sadly, Andrew Gaze does come up in this report.
Oh, sadly he does.
Yeah.
In not a good way?
Well, sadly it's never good news for Andrew Gaze at the Olympics. Let's just say that.
Yeah,
That's
right.
true. Okay.
Poor
but
old Gaze.
I
So
love
at the
him.
1988, America got the bronze. At the 88 Olympics and at every other games before, the USA weren't allowed to send professional players that had played in the NBA. That's because traditionally the Olympics had been started for amateur athletes to compete.
Oh, of course.
That's why you still don't see pro boxers compete. Often they'll compete when they're young, like Muhammad Ali did, win a gold medal like he did. I think George Foreman did the same. And then afterwards they turn pro. You're not allowed to go to the Olympics anymore.
Gotcha.
Isn't it? It's a strange idea because it's not across the board. Tennis and golf and
Tennis and golf and
Some
Usain
of the
Bolt. You're telling me
most
he's not professional?
yeah, some of the highest paid sports people in
Yeah.
the world to go to the Olympics. So it is strange that it's held up for boxing and for a long time for basketball.
Yeah, so between 1936 and 1988, the US sent college athletes to compete on their behalf. Often these players would be future legends of the game. For example, Michael Jordan, who Matt has done a fantastic report on. I mentioned him a couple. There's a little bit of crossover here, but not too much. So he was part of the gold medal winning team in 1984, and then obviously went on to be a pro.
Who is this?
Andrew Gaze. The Andrew Gaze of the American court.
Oh, cute. Michael, was it?
Yeah, they've got their own
Lovely.
basketball scene over there as well.
Do they?
Yeah, they do.
Oh, that's nice.
So Dave's mentioned the NBA a couple of times. That's their version of the NBL.
Oh, the NBA.
Yeah.
Oh, that's fun.
It's weird. Why did they change L to A?
I think we got in first
Yep.
and got NBL. And then they're like, oh.
Shit. Now what do we do?
Association sounds stupid, but, league's taken. So
Yeah. Right, okay. So I didn't know they had their whole thing over there. That's nice.
So they had the whole thing, but their whole thing wasn't allowed to go to the Olympics. But by the late 80s, a double standard had emerged. The other countries had started sending athletes that really stretched the meaning of the word amateur. The Soviet Union and Yugoslavia entered teams of athletes who were all, for all intents and purposes, state-sponsored, quote, full-time amateur athletes.
Gotcha.
On paper, they were students or soldiers or working in a profession, but all of whom were in reality paid by the state to play in well-developed leagues with modern facilities, and they were training all year round.
Yeah, right.
They never stopped.
I am accountant. That's my accent.
pretty good.
That's my nondescript accent.
Right, was that Yugoslavian? Or?
Yeah,
Yep.
it was Lithuanian.
It was American. That was my American accent. No, I don't play basketball. I accountant. I do taxes.
That's good. I don't know what it is, but
Me either.
it sounds
So it
spot
can't
on.
be problematic if you're not entirely sure who you're impersonating.
Yeah,
That's right.
That's definitely true.
These players were even allowed to play in pro-European leagues.
Right, okay.
So, they could go off to Italy and play. They could play in Spain and all these different places against other pros. But the American people, they're only college people. Suddenly, these 19, 20, 21-year-old American college athletes were playing against grown men with serious talent and a lot of experience.
Yeah, okay.
So the Soviet Union won gold in 1988. The athletes who were awarded these medals were often referred to colloquially as, the Russians won it, the Russians. But 4 of the 5 starting players weren't Russian at all. They were Lithuanian.
Oh.
And 4 years, as I say, is a long time. And a lot changed between the Olympics in Seoul and its follow-up in Barcelona. The amateur rule would no longer be enforced and the Soviet Union would no longer exist. This left space for the emergence of 2 very different teams. One would be the greatest team ever assembled in the history of sports. The other, one of the most inspiring you'll ever hear about. This is the tale of 2 dream teams.
Oh. That's a good line, Dave.
Thank you so much. Thought I'd call the episode The Tale of 2 Dream Teams.
Love it.
Fantastic.
Workshop here.
Support that. No. You've nailed it in one. No
Yeah.
need to workshop here.
On board. I'm on board.
Well, I was thinking the Dream Team and the Dreamer Team. Nah, it's not as good.
No,
It's not
that
as good.
sucks.
I have to shout out to Rob from Perth who suggested the topic of the Dream Team. Thanks very much for that. And as for the other team in this story, Lithuania, I can't remember how, but recently I came across a fantastic documentary called The Other Dream Team, which was released in 2012. I'll link to that in the notes of the episode because I use it as a big source for this report.
Cool.
And if you want to watch it, it's awesome. It's really good. Okay, so let's talk about Lithuania. Do you guys know anything about it?
I could not find it on a map. I'm so sorry.
Well, I think it was part of the Soviet Union,
Oh, very
which
good.
split up in between the Seoul and Barcelona Olympics.
That's true.
Was it kind of when the wall came down in 89 or?
That was a big
90?
part of stepping away from the Union, yes.
And Lithuania. So I reckon it's somewhere in and around Russia. Probably southwest of Russia.
God, he's good.
Yes.
It's found in northeastern Europe. It's above Poland and Belarus and below Latvia. Jess, now you know what I'm talking about.
Yes.
Right in
Now
that
I can
sweet
picture
spot.
it.
It is the southernmost and largest of the 3 Baltic states, but has a relatively small population of only 2.7 million people. Like a lot of other countries in the area, it had a tough time for most of the 20th century. And even before that, to be honest, from 1795, Lithuania had been annexed by the Russian Empire, where it was a part of that for a long time. It claimed independence at the end of World War I in 1918, and this freedom would last until 1940. During these decades, basketball emerged as the nation's favourite sport. Basketball was an obsession, a way of life. Kids played on the street, making hoops out of barrels and erecting courts wherever they could, dreaming of making the local team and beyond. And as a country, they got good. In 1937 and 1939, Lithuania won the European Basketball Championships,
Oh, wow.
beating much larger teams or countries with much larger populations.
Yeah, so their population's tiny. That's smaller than Melbourne's.
Yeah, about half the size of Melbourne.
Yeah,
And they're, smashing France and Germany and stuff. Sadly, in 1940, Lithuania's brief 20 years of freedom and time at the top of the basketball table was stolen from them when they were invaded by the Soviet Union. The Soviets first made them sign mutual pacts that allowed them to build bases in Lithuania and the other Baltic states. Then they forced the local government to resign. So they were like, yeah, just let us build some bases there. No problem. And then once the base was there, they're like, yeah, we've got the army here now. You've got to go.
Shit.
And it was not good for the locals. Thousands of Lithuanians were then deported to labour camps and gulags in Siberia, where many perished due to inhumane living conditions.
Holy shit.
And then things went from terrible to worse when the Nazis invaded in 1941. And during the battle between its two occupiers, Lithuania was hit by unspeakable massacres. In 1941, 10% of the population of Lithuania was Jewish. This is unbelievably awful, but according to Britannica, quote, by the end of the year, 1941, only 40,000 Jews of the original 250,000 or so remained alive.
Oh, my God.
So in 1 year, they were absolutely decimated. Terrible stuff. And I'm afraid after World War II, I should say, things didn't get better for the country, because in 1944, they were incorporated into the USSR, which was, of course, under the tyrannical influence of Joseph Stalin at the time, and the deportations to the Gulag started up again.
What was Stalin like? He a good guy?
Terrible guy.
Huh.
Huh.
There you go.
Though I believe he
yeah.
was once a Time Magazine Person of the Year, so there you go.
Yeah, they've had a few duds on that, I
Yeah, he
reckon.
does. But I mean, in their defense...
Like the computer?
Yeah.
Or you?
You, the mirror. The mirror.
That includes me.
If Joseph Stalin was still alive, he'd be like, I got it again.
Yeah.
Got it again.
2 time.
Didn't Hitler get it?
Yeah, I think in their defense, it is often the
That's
most
a person.
influential.
It's not the best person.
Yeah, it's the most influential sort of person. And, I think they probably were in those years.
So you were? Yep, sure.
Thank
Yeah.
you. Yes.
I understand that, yes.
And-
My eyes just rolled to the back of my head.
And my brain, which is a type of computer, I believe, a supercomputer, if you will.
Person of the year, a computer.
Crazy.
That's
What's
a real
next? A
cop-out.
horse?
Sportswoman of the year. It's a horse. You know that happened in Australia? The sportswoman of the year
Sportswoman of the year was a horse.
was a horse.
That was an impressive horse, but a little offensive.
It wasn't a very impressive horse.
Which one? Are we talking Black Caviar or Maccabi Diva here?
Black caviar.
Sportswoman of the year.
Sportswoman of the year.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
One of the few things that offered Lithuanians freedom and enjoyment was basketball. Its popularity never waned. In the fantastic documentary I talked about, The Other Dream Team, a survivor of a Siberian camp is interviewed, and he speaks how basketball basically saved his life.
Whoa.
At the camp, one of their only freedoms was playing basketball. They built a makeshift court in the camp, and then the game gave him back his dignity, gave him a sense of purpose, and allowed him to retain his sense of humanity, he says.
Oh, wow.
And this is the sort of passion associated with basketball in Lithuania. It's just a way of life.
Cool.
Just like Aussie Rules is here for the bottom corner of our country.
Not
Yeah.
bottom corner. It's everywhere but the top
Corner.
Top corner.
Rugby league's 2 states. The rest is Aussie rules. It's not. This isn't like a split where Aussie rules is half and rugby league's the other half. Dave, so don't paint it like that.
He's offended.
Tasmania, Aussie rules. Victoria, Aussie rules. South Australia, Aussie rules. Western Australia, Aussie rules. Northern Territory, you could make an argument there's a split there, but I'm going to call it Aussie rules. That leaves. I can't even remember the names of the other 2 states.
Other.
Who
And the
cares?
rest.
Yeah.
We were kicking the footy at the park the other day, as were a bunch of other people, because it is the national pastime, and I may have accidentally kicked the footy into the river. So
Wow. And did
You go for a swim?
did you wade in to get it? The
we
national
followed it for
pastime?
a while. We followed it down the river for a while, and then it got stuck in like a catchment thing built for catching like rubbish and stuff, and it was just out of arm's reach. We couldn't get it, so I have to go buy a footy. Is what I'm
So you
saying.
left it.
Well, yeah, we couldn't get it.
So it became rubbish.
Yeah,
How offensive to the national pastime.
That is fucked.
I know.
Oh, Jess.
No, but now the fish have a footy.
Oh, that's true.
So
You got to think about them fish.
Yeah.
I've kicked a few footies in the rivers. You always go get them.
Oh.
Although I don't live on one of the filthiest rivers in Australia.
yeah, it's a gross river, and it was getting dark, and I was like, "No, this is going to end badly. If one of us tries to get in, it's going to be one of those horror stories where it's like we were trying to get a footy and one of us dies." You know?
Oh, that sounds like a boring horror film.
Don't go in there. Why?
You might drown. Oh,
No.
all right.
What, do you come back as some sort of a football ghost?
Yeah, I would assume so.
Okay, now I'm interested.
Now
back
you're
on board.
terrified.
Mate, as if a horror film based around an AFL footy isn't your dream movie.
That sounds so good. I want to watch it.
Anyway, back to the dream team.
Well, so basketball, it's a way of life.
Yeah.
Rather tragically, if they got good at the sport, Lithuanians were forced to compete for the USSR, and it was like that for over 50 years. And as a team, the USSR were very successful. At 6 of its 9 appearances at the Summer Olympics, the Soviet team ranked first in the total number of gold medals won, and it was second overall for the other 3.
Oh, wow.
I knew they were dominant, but that's amazing.
Yeah, very powerful. I guess there were a lot of countries.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got a bigger pool to pick from.
Yeah, we're representing, a third of all the countries in the world. Is that about right, Dave?
Yeah, well, it's not quite that many, I think. But if you were, these days, we were like, oh, we're the Southern Hemisphere team, we'd still maybe make the top 5.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the Southern Hemisphere isn't what it used to be,
Yeah.
Back in the 90s, the Southern Hemisphere used to
Oh
kick
my
ass.
God.
Yeah.
Remember when the Boomers played off in the bronze medal match?
And lost?
And lost?
Oh, that's good shit.
Oh,
So it's pretty amazing Australia came 4th in basketball one time.
Yeah.
What if I told you it was not just one time?
Oh, it was twice.
Poor old Gazy, as
Poor
we'll talk
Gazy.
about.
But I mean, yeah,
I mean,
you're
the
saying
women
it's
have
like,
got a silver.
yeah, they were so close to winning it. I mean, the Australian women's basketball is seen as being like right up there.
Yeah.
And the men's, but I mean, the men's has been as well. And it sounds like the next men's team's going to be the best Aussie basketball team ever put together.
Andrew Gaze is coming out of retirement.
For
Last time.
last game.
Get me in there.
He just like starts running and goes, "Oh God, why did I think this was a good idea?
Oh, my God, I'm 50.
Oh God, I'm so
I'm
old."
50.
Oh, Gazy. Lindsay's in there too.
Well,
Gazy's dad is in there.
An 80-year-old man on the court.
Yeah, they're coached by the ghost of Lindsay Gaze. This is a Disney movie ready to go. Ghost dad coach.
Ghost
Is
coach.
there too much going on there?
Ghost
No.
coach dad.
Ghost coach dad.
I reckon they've got to also have like
Coach Ghost.
Oh, yeah.
they've
Sorry.
also got to have like a pet or something that gets involved.
Yeah.
Like the cat makes the winning 3-pointer or something.
Nah,
Are you
it's got to
thinking
be a
Air Bud?
kangaroo, doesn't it?
Yeah, kangaroo.
Of course, a kangaroo. Yes. We
And
did.
it would keep the ball in its pouch. But it's not like in cartoons. There's a lot of goo in there.
It can't keep the ball in its pouch because then it's traveling. You got to bounce the ball.
Well...
But they're bouncing. They're bouncing with the balls
Ah.
technically bouncing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or is that double dribble? A lot of questions.
Yeah, there are. Look, there's some technicalities to figure out, but I think we're still going to be millionaires.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway, Dave.
What's that, Skip? What's that? You need me to make a free throw? Okay. To tie the game, go to overtime. All right. That's Andrew Gaze being asked by a kangaroo to come down for one last free throw.
It's Space Jam, but Australian.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah. I can't think of a name because we'd call Jam, you know?
Well, because it would be Space Vegemite.
Perfect, yes.
Space Vegemite. That's good. That is good. All right, so back to Lithuania. So if you got good, you got to compete for the USSR. That was your reward. But obviously competing for the people that are, one, oppressing you, occupying you, denying your countrymen freedom, the people that sent your grandparents and uncles and aunts to forced labour camps. Well, to put it extremely lightly, it wasn't great for the athletes themselves.
No.
Who still very much identified as Lithuanian. So when these guys won for the USSR in '88, people would say to them, start speaking to them in Russian at the press conference, and they'd say, "Oh, I don't speak Russian, I speak Lithuanian," and people would be surprised.
Right.
But you're all from the USSR. But like you're saying, Matt, there's so many countries that are all spread out. A lot of them have their own cultures, own languages.
Of course.
Isn't it weird that it didn't work? People tried a few times where one country just try and make other countries in their country, and they're like, "Oh, we don't really want this," and eventually it all fell apart. Weird how they didn't you couldn't just make them be part of you.
It is weird,
It's
isn't
weird.
it? Yeah, crazy.
It's weird.
Because you'd think on paper, fantastic
Great
idea. Very good.
I mean, if everyone was one Olympic team, you'd never lose.
Yeah.
So on paper,
Very good idea.
Well, until the Monstars come down.
no. Try and play
I forgot they were monsters.
play against us for our Vegemite.
Yeah.
No, not the Vegemite.
Gazy's secret water bottle, but it's just full of Vegemite.
I need.
And he licks it.
I need to. My secret ingredient is vitamin B12.
Gives me rosy cheeks. And my pretty reliable jump shot.
Yeah.
What a guy. So these Lithuanians, they dreamed of freedom and playing for their own nation, but most of them doubted it would ever happen in their lifetime, especially.
Oh.
But back to the USA and the NBA. In 1989, a decision was to be made by FIBA, the International Basketball Federation, on whether NBA players should be allowed to compete at the next Olympics. But not everyone in the NBA was keen. The association itself was lukewarm to the idea because they weren't sure if their players would be that interested anyway. An Associated Press survey of NBA players at the time found just 63% favoured open eligibility, and only 58% said that they'd actually want to play in the games.
Why is that, I wonder? Because they're making...
They're already playing at the top level, so it'd be like going to a thing where you're already playing in a higher level. They talk about it in the AFL as well, like bring back State of Origin, which I'd love for them to do, but like already play at the highest level in the world. So going to the Olympics to play against teams that aren't as good as the Minnesota Timberwolves.
But that's interesting because I think... Well, I'm obviously not a professional sports person.
What?
Yet.
Working on it.
She got a great jump shot.
You would think that, like, going to the Olympics would be exciting.
Yeah.
I'd want to do that.
Well, I think this turns around and they get a pretty good team together, but
well, it's true. And also the NBA, they were worried that no one would want to go and then it would be embarrassing for them because they are allowed to send the best and then the best didn't want to go and maybe they'd still lose.
Yeah.
So they were a bit like, oh, no, don't worry about it. I don't know.
Yeah.
But it was decided in 1989 by FIBA that the NBA should be allowed to compete just to make it more of an open field.
It's almost like saying, let's just let them drug cheat as well. You know, if you let, if some of them are drug cheating anyway and we're not figuring it out, probably the bloody USSR, you know, they're bending the rules. Let's just go open up so anything goes. NBA players can play. They can also be jacked off their heads.
Yeah.
Let's make the Olympics truly the competition for the
In
best
fact,
of the
let's
best.
supply the cocaine.
Yes, the cocaine. Fantastic.
Let's just see what happens, you know?
I think that's a great idea, and I assume that's where the story is going, but I was pretty young at the time. My memory isn't that clear, but I think it was a big drug
Dream
party.
team.
Yeah.
Had all the drugs you could dream of.
Yeah, that's why they got the name.
I do dream of a lot of drugs.
Yeah.
Just piled in front of me. I don't take any of them. I don't want to, but there's just a big pile of them. It's crazy.
So the decision was made that NBA players should be allowed to go. So now the NBA were under pressure to put together a talented team to give to the Olympics. It would be embarrassing if they sent them and lost, like I said. And in that era, when you're building a team of the best basketball players, there's one name at the top of your list: Jess Perkins.
Yeah.
Really?
No, Andrew.
Followed closely
Gaze.
by Shaquille O'Neal.
No, the face of the new generation of basketball, and by that time already 3-time MVP and 1984 Olympic gold medalist. It was, of course, Michael Jordan,
Of course.
who Matt did a full report on, and also spoke in length about Space Jam. What a journey!
And Larry Bird stealing from his pesky or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. But Michael Jordan was hoping the USA weren't going to ask him to play on the national team. To quote MJ, quote, "I was trying to figure out a way that I could graciously decline."
Oh, he didn't want to do it.
Yeah. He was like, "Nah, I don't want to."
Interesting.
It's also, I wonder if some of them were like, it's almost like a stepping stone. I got to do it as an amateur on the way up. You know, if we start doing it now, it takes away the chance. I don't know if he was thinking that selflessly about it.
yeah.
I think it was a bit, I've been there, done that type thing.
Oh, what? I've been there, done. You've done one Olympics. That's enough. How lovely is that you can work so consistently through the year that you don't have to take so many other sports people are working their asses off between Olympics
for
just
4
to get to the
years.
Olympics. Like, that's the pinnacle of their sport.
Yeah, I guess I think that's the difference. That's the pinnacle
Yeah.
of their sport. And for him, it's not. He hasn't won an NBA championship yet. That's what
That's the
really
pinnacle.
drives him. He's like, I've already won an Olympics. It was pretty fun.
Fuck,
but I want to win.
That is
Isn't that wild?
mental.
Yeah.
Like, you think of like track, like athletics and stuff like that. Like, there's what's higher than the Olympics.
And often it comes down to one 15-second period every 4 years.
Totally.
Whether you make the final, whether you medal,
Yeah.
between the gun going off and often 15, 20 seconds later, you're like, oh, well, that was the worst run I've had in 4 years,
Yeah.
and I didn't make the final.
I missed the jump.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm off to the airport.
Crazy.
I'm running to the airport
You
at
just keep
record
running.
speed.
You keep running to the taxi.
Well, so the NBA, they wanted Michael. So they reached out to him and asked, and he wanted to know who else was playing. Basically, he didn't want to be the only superstar on the team. He was worried it would be him and then a bunch of college people, and he's like, I'm not interested
I'm
in
not
doing that.
carrying this team.
I already carry another
Yeah.
team. So they made another call to 3-time MVP, 5-time NBA champion, 12-time All-Star, and absolute legend of the sport, LA Laker Magic Johnson.
Ugh.
And he was in straight away. No questions asked.
Really?
love
Magic's like, yeah, man, I'm free. Hang on,
Get
let
me
me check
in
this. Let me check the schedule.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm free those dates.
Well, he was, because he was the first puzzle piece to fall into place, and it made the others sit up and notice, because he's a legend of their sport.
Yeah,
He's-
Jordan looked up to him when he was younger.
And yeah, because he was older at this time, and it was seen for Magic himself as a last hurrah, because he had announced it was HIV positive at the end of '91, where he also announced that he would retire immediately, because not a lot was known about HIV at the time.
Right.
He was like, he thought he'd never play basketball again. He played in the All-Stars game that year after being voted in by fans, and many actually objected to his participation, because again, people were ignorant about HIV.
Yep.
They were thinking that they might get it if they played with him.
Yep.
But he did, he played. And he wanted his career to go out with a bang, and he thought, what better way to do it than getting a gold medal?
So by the time the Olympics came around, there was a bit more a bit more known that HIV wasn't.
Yeah, and I also think that, there was a bit more education. He'd played and nothing had gone wrong,
Yeah.
so it was a bit like, oh, okay. He probably didn't get this.
It's quite a lot of blood or saliva
Yes.
that has to be exchanged.
And he didn't get this playing on the court, so
Yeah.
it's all good. And once Magic said yes, they had no trouble recruiting other players. And I'm going to list them now with some of their achievements.
Let's see if we've heard of any of these names, Matt.
It should be noted that these are their achievements at the end of their careers, which for most of them wasn't 92. But this is just to give you an idea of the talent in the team and the caliber of the players that they put together.
Can you give them all their nicknames? If they don't have a nickname, come up with a nickname.
Okay. All right, we're starting with 3-time league MVP, 12-time NBA All-Star, and the sandwich lover, Larry Bird
Larry Bird.
from the Boston Celtics.
What was his nickname again? The Hick from St. Lick or something like that.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
was. At 35, he was the oldest on the team and had back problems by this stage of his career. But like magic, he was keen to go out with a bang, and he was such a legend of the sport that no team would be complete without him.
Oldest on the team at 35.
35.
Which when you're a teenager, you think 35 is so old. But I've had back problems since I was 7. And he's like, oh, I'm 35, my back's gone.
And you
really?
weren't
I haven't
7
been
foot
allowed
like
on a
this guy.
trampoline for 20-something years.
Is that how you did it? You
Wow.
did it on the tramp?
Yes.
Damn.
Jarred it. And I fucking love trampolines.
Yeah, every day.
If
It
you
burns
look at
you
me,
up.
I'm the type of person who
Yeah.
would, I'd be on a trampoline so fast.
I look at you, I think tramp.
You know when those bounce places became very popular? Because,
What, in the 90s?
no, a few years ago.
No.
Under
I
10
missed
years
that.
ago.
Yeah,
People would
right.
go to Bounce. It's an indoor trampoline place.
Ah. I remember when I was a kid,
No.
and it was
yeah.
exciting. Just these in-ground trampolines.
So cool.
Amazing.
There was one in the small coastal town we used to go to. Anyway, they became very cool again a few years ago, and friends were going, and I was like, gotta sit this one out. I can't be on a trampoline. I'll hurt myself. Anyway, good on
That
you, Larry
sucks.
Bird. 35 and a veteran.
35. It's amazing, isn't it? But yeah, basically, he was past his best just because of injuries, but they were like,
We need
got to
Larry
pay
Bird.
respect to this guy.
Yeah.
We got to get him in. Next player was Scottie Pippen.
Yep.
Pip, or Robin, to Michael's Batman, people sometimes called him. Michael Jordan's teammate and fellow 6-time championship-winning player at the Chicago Bulls, 7-time All-Star. He later said he didn't think he deserved the call-up,
Oh.
but didn't admit that to the selectors. He was just stoked to be asked.
Oh, that's nice.
And he's got which you will see in the Michael Jackson. Yeah, he was
Very
in
different.
Michael Jordan documentary. He's got the deepest voice.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
awesome.
I knew the name, but I don't think I knew what Scottie Pippen looked like somehow.
All right.
So I was like, that's Scottie
He was,
Pippen.
when I was a kid, he was almost the cooler one to like, I think. At primary school, I remember Scottie Pippen was I guess that just showed you had slightly more knowledge than the
Yes.
surface knowledge that everyone in Australia had when Michael Jordan was so big. But he apparently, this is all learned in this doco series, that he signed a long-term contract early. Well, you might have seen this as well, and he was one of the lowest paid players in the league, or he was way down the list. He was one of the least paid players on his team because he signed a contract so early, and they wouldn't renegotiate because he inked it up, and he's like, I didn't want to take any chances. I just want to make sure my family was looked after. I could get injured next week if I hold out and sign a contract in a couple of years. So, yeah, that was fascinating to learn.
Yeah, wow.
But yeah, he does a disappointing nickname. So you're saying Pip or
Pip.
Robin?
I love Pip.
Yeah, Pip's okay.
Anyway, Scottie Pip. Who else we got?
We got Clyde the Glide Drexler.
That's the best nickname.
Yeah, that's
Clyde
amazing,
the Glide.
actually.
I love that so much.
From the Portland Trail Blazers. He would go on to be NBA champion in 95 and was a 10-time All-Star.
Wow.
The centre was David Robinson from the San Antonio Spurs, nicknamed the Admiral.
Yeah, he was the best. Number 5. He was one of my favourite players when I was a kid.
The Admiral.
He'd served in the Navy.
Oh, okay.
He's the only, still to this day, the only person that served in the Navy that's played in the NBA.
Yeah, right.
Really? It's interesting.
At 7'1", he was the tallest player on the team.
Whoa.
He was 1995 NBA MVP.
And he's playing centre,
Centre,
yes.
yeah.
For some reason, for a second there, I
were
was
thinking
thinking
netball
netball.
centre.
And I've never played netball in my
How
life.
funny.
But of course, he's put the 7-foot guy at the centre.
David Robinson was wing attack.
Yeah.
Or
I was imagining him standing in the middle of the court and
Is
not
that
being
like
able to move.
Aussie
much.
rules, the centreman would be one of the smaller positions on the field as well. But yeah, basketball
God, this
centres.
is my sport. Pay attention, Jess. That's great.
so he was MVP for the league in 95 and 2-time NBA champion and 10-time All-Star. So these guys they're
Yeah.
phenomenal. Patrick Ewing from the New York Knicks,
Yep.
a.k.a. Hoya Destroyer.
Fuck, that's pretty good.
So he was from the Hoyas, which
Well,
is a college,
And
Georgetown, I think.
And he was born in Jamaica and moved to the USA at 12. He'd already won a gold medal in 1984 with Michael Jordan, and he went on to be an 11-time NBA All-Star. Next up, we have the mailman, Karl Malone,
Oh, yeah.
because he always
What
delivers.
a gun.
From the Utah Jazz, second highest scoring player in the history of
Is
the
that
NBA,
true?
Wow.
Wow.
Behind only Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. He was 2-time MVP, 14-time NBA All-Star.
I think Kareem Abdul-Jabbar has the best name of all time across everything.
A huge
Acro-
call,
it's-
and I agree.
Thank you so much for having my back there. And I know you've got a bad one.
I've
so
got a bad back.
it means a lot.
Have for a long time.
There is another US athlete whose name is
Oh
Barkevius Mingo.
that's
my
pretty good.
God, Matt, take back what you just said.
Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
Barkevius. What was it? Fucking
Barkevius
Mingo.
Mingo, who plays
Pretty good.
for the, in the NFL.
That's incredible. Mingo. Barkevius.
I mean, that is fantastic.
That is fantastic.
I love that, and it sticks with me. That name.
You know Maggie Simpson from The Simpsons? She was almost named Cool Mo D. Simpson if Bart had his way.
We're getting them. The mailman Karl Malone was joined by a longtime teammate, John Stockton.
Oh, High Shorts John.
Nickname?
High shorts.
Stock. It's pretty gross.
Love that.
He was the only one who held out. We talked about the Michael Jordan episode.
Oh,
Michael Jordan changed the shorts fashion forever in basketball
Yes.
by wearing them longer. And John Stockton never followed that trend when the rest of the league did. He was one of the only ones who held out with short basketball shorts.
mate. At 6'1", he was the shortest player on the team.
6'1", the shortest player.
Shortest player.
Muggsy Bogues wasn't
Stop.
available.
Muggsy said no. No, that's not true. Sadly, Muggsy, I don't think got the call. But John Stockton's team made the playoffs in each of his 19 seasons at the Jazz.
Wow.
19 seasons.
That's
Wow.
amazing. And you got some players who will never play finals
And he every year.
every year. What
For
a
nearly
hog.
20 years.
Did he ever win a championship though?
I don't think so, no. But he holds the
Jeez, they
NBA.
must have been close at some points, him and Malone together.
I know, we've got the highest scorer.
But
second
unfortunately, they
highest-
came up against 6 years where Jordan was unstoppable.
I mean, it
Plus.
is obviously a great, a really cool, momentous thing in basketball. But also, you do think about the people that never got there because they were blocked out in 6 years. John Stockton holds the NBA records for most career assists and steals by wide margins to this day. 10-time All-Star.
Wow.
And Chris Mullins from the Golden State Warriors,
Great
also
shooter.
part of the 1984 gold medal winning team. Nickname? Big Three.
Yeah, well, I guess he's the 3-point shooter. Also had a great flat top from memory.
Oh.
I support it. I jumped around different teams in the NBA when I was a kid, and I went for the Warriors for quite a while. Obviously jumped off them before they became a powerhouse.
Of course. You were
I don't
what's
feel
holding them
comfortable.
back.
I don't feel comfortable going for a championship team.
I'm just looking it up here because I didn't look up the nickname of him, but he was part of the high-scoring trio of basketball teammates Tim Hardaway, Mitch Richmond, and Chris Mullin, who together were called Run TMC.
I think Latrell Sprewell played with them around that time as well. It's a pretty sick team.
Cool.
And finally, from the NBA, a man with the greatest nickname in the history of sport, in my opinion, the round mound of rebound.
Sir Charles.
Charles Barkley from the Phoenix Suns.
Awesome.
1993 League MVP, 11-time All-Star. Charles Barkley was then and still is famous for saying whatever he likes. He was a popular player, but also quite controversial at times. His talent was obvious, but the selectors were worried about him representing his country and courting controversy during the games. When he was told that they were considering him, he was so honoured that they would even consider to put him on a team with these people. He convinced them there'd be no problems from him.
Oh, that's great.
He was truly honoured.
He features a little bit in the doco because one year that they were pretty close. There was Bulls versus Suns in the final, and he went to Chicago when they just needed to win. Chicago wins, they win the series, and driving into the stadium, all of Chicago had basically they were already celebrating the championship. And then the Suns upset them that night and won to keep the series alive. And one of the reporters goes, "Is there any messages for the people of Chicago?" He says, "You can take all those posters and shit down for tonight. You don't need them tonight."
It was good.
It was so good.
He's so good.
There's a line in it where he's talking about it sort of now, and he said something I can't fully remember the context, but he said something along the lines of like, that was the first time in my life I thought someone was better at basketball than me. I was
That's
like,
right.
First time in your life,
Amazing playing
you've had
Jordan.
the thought that someone could be better than you at this sport.
I imagine, but wouldn't the NBA be full of those people? What an amazing thing to be. Like every battler on the bench probably has played most of their life being the best.
Totally.
It must be a strange feeling to, every level you go, maybe I'm best at this level, go up one, still the best.
Yeah.
And eventually like, oh, shit.
Yeah, you hit a limit, but
But Jordan never hit that
never
limit.
hit the limit. But you're a big fan of the Conan podcast, Matt. Have you heard the one with Charles Barkley?
No.
It's really good because he just says whatever he likes. And he talks about how hard it is. It actually made me appreciate how hard it is to make it as a professional athlete. 'Cause, obviously I respect how hard they work, all that sort of stuff. But you forget about how many talented people don't quite make it. Because he talks about all the time people come up to him and say, oh, my son's Mr. Florida this year. Like, he's going to make it. And then Charles's response is, he always thinks to himself, yeah, great, there's 50 of those this year.
Yeah.
Every state's got a Mr. someone.
Yeah,
And they are the best in their state. But that doesn't mean...
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he says there's only 450 professional spots in the NBA at any one time. Maybe 40 jobs a year come up. So...
Amazing, yeah.
Yeah, it's amazing.
And that is crazy. And in American sport, it feels like more than over here. There's so much player movement during seasons. Players will rock up and hear that they've been traded to another team mid-year, and they're always just being chopped around. Oh, sorry, you didn't make the cut. You're gone. What a full-on time. At least in the AFL, you're like, you got your spot for at least 2 years, I think, is sort of the minimum contract. But over there, you might rock up for a few months and you're like, you cut.
Move your family's whole life.
Yeah.
Yeah, crazy.
An ex-Saints player just got drafted into the NFL as a kicker or
Awesome.
a punter.
That's cool.
Who was that?
Aaron Sipos. I was so pumped about him when he was recruited at the Saints. Beautiful long kick, but he never quite made it. I was so big on him being a big star. Facebook memory came up recently where he got named in the team after playing the reserves for the first half of the year, and I'm like, finally, you finally made the right call. And he got dropped a couple of weeks later because he didn't quite make it. I named my I used to do Dream Team, AFL Dream Team, the fantasy football.
Yeah.
And his name was Aaron Sipos. So I called my team the Sipossy.
Oh.
I was very bullish about him being a big star.
And now?
Look, he's probably one of the highest paid ever AFL players because he's got a short contract in the NFL as like a second string kicker or something. Yeah, but that's kind of cool. He's playing for Detroit. I think he got picked up by Detroit Lions.
That's really cool.
We've had a few Aussie people go over and be a kicker. Is that right?
Yeah, because I think in Australian rules, kicking is a big skill, and most professional players can kick 50 plus meters with a much bigger ball. So it's just a skill you're born with.
Is their ball smaller?
I think it's a little bit smaller. It's a different shape, pointier, and I think it's a bit smaller, yeah.
Yeah, cool. I didn't know that.
They got to throw them.
Oh, yeah. We just throw the footy.
You throw yours in the river.
Yeah.
Dickhead.
It was so far away from the river. It just kept bouncing. Anyway, Dave, you said this is your longest report ever.
Jeez, we've gone
please
on some
continue.
sidetracks.
I'm so sorry.
Dave. Sorry, everybody listening. Who gives a fuck about Aussie rules?
Well, these 10 men locked in. Do you appreciate
It's an amazing lineup.
all those people?
Where's Isaiah Thomas?
Well, we're going to talk about him in just a second. With these 10 men locked in, they went back to Michael Jordan. He was keen to play with the guys he usually plays against. So he was in. He was offered the captaincy but declined, and the two senior members of the team, Larry Bird and Magic Johnson, were selected as co-captains.
Makes
That's
sense.
nice. Yep.
I believe actually they said to Jordan, you can be a third captain.
Yeah.
Which meant 3 out of 11
He's
under
like,
the captain.
stop. I don't want to be captain.
I barely want to be here.
No, you can drive the bus if you want, or you can have the biggest room.
Yeah, I know. They let him drive the bus. So that's so funny.
They're just trying to throw in any kind of perk they can.
You can.
I want to do less, not more.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Yeah.
Michael.
No, great. We'll carry you. You don't have to walk. We'll carry you everywhere.
We'll let you Zoom in. You can just Skype in and
Yeah.
play via Skype. We'll put someone out on the court and you say which hand to touch the ball with. We'll just do it that way if you
It's
like.
like, okay, that's not enough.
We're trying to change the constitution so our country is now called Michael Jordan. What do you think? What do you think?
Rooknama.
Do you love us?
Please love me.
September's been changed to Jordan.
These 11 men, 10 of whom would be listed as part of the top 50 NBA players of all time in
Sucks
1996.
for number 11.
Sadly, Chris Mullins missed out.
Sorry,
yeah,
Mullins.
he does seem a bit like the odd one out in that team.
Sorry, Mullins. And all of whom, though, would go on to be Hall of Famers, and who were the most famous names in the world of basketball, were joined by one more man. As an acknowledgement to the previous amateur system, the US Basketball Committee decided to include one college player on the team.
Fuck off.
Shaquille O'Neal was considered. He was to be the number 1 draft pick that year. But the player that was selected was Christian Laettner. He was the star player on the back-to-back national championship teams of 1991 and 1992. He would later go on to play in the NBA and be named an All-Star in 1997. So there's no doubt that he's very talented.
Yeah.
But imagine that. He's 22 years old. You're
Playing
used
with
to,
your idols.
used to playing with college people, and now
Yeah.
you're on the same team as the best in the world.
How would you keep up?
Oh, it's crazy.
Yeah, you wonder if that's good or bad for you long term.
Well, I saw an interview with him, and he said at the time there were all the egos, everyone's sassing each other on the court, and he was like, I just stood back and I was just happy to be part of it.
Yeah.
Of course, yeah. You'd be stoked. You wouldn't want to say anything wrong. You'd be like tiptoeing
know.
around, just
Oh,
like, please
Michael.
let me stay.
Magic, all right, yes sir, hello.
Oh, it'd be crazy.
Thank you, Mr. Bird, for passing to me. Thank
Yeah,
you.
anytime you if you fumbled over one of their passes, you'd be like, idiot. It'd be so intimidating.
Oh. As Matt said, pretty controversially, Isaiah Thomas from the Detroit Pistons was left off the team. It was rumoured that Michael Jordan had asked Isaiah Thomas be left out. Isaiah Thomas was seen as the ringleader of the so-called Bad Boys that had won championships in 1989 and 1990 for the Detroit Pistons with some pretty physical tactics, often at the expense of Michael Jordan.
Right.
So All-Star, and he's like a 12-time All-Star himself, insane.
I think even Jordan called him the second best point guard of all time.
Yeah,
Wow.
after Magic?
After Magic, yeah.
Yeah, pretty big praise. But he was not selected. And I think it was more than just Michael that didn't want to work with him. He had rubbed a few people the wrong way,
Right.
and he wasn't selected. I think a big part of it was that they wanted people that were talented that also would mesh as a team.
Totally, yeah. That makes
So-
sense.
They are trying to please Michael, there's no doubt about that.
Mm-hmm.
But I think other people in the team were also like, Isaiah Thomas is a bit of a dirty player.
Yeah.
I don't want to be his friend.
And if a team isn't meshing, if they're all out there playing as individuals, you're not going to get very far anyway. You have to be
Totally.
able to work as a team.
So he wasn't selected, but his coach was. The Dream Team's
Lindsay
coach.
Gaze.
The ghost of Lindsay Gaze.
I'm alive! I'm afraid we will have to kill you, Lindsay. The prophecy foretold this. The Dream Team was coached by Chuck Daly, coach of the Bad Boys at the Detroit Pistons.
That's me. I chuck Daly.
You okay?
No, I'm very sick. Help me.
He was a seasoned veteran, and he was known for handling the Bad Boys well.
Fucking dumb riff. I'm so sorry. He was known for keeping the bad boys.
So it was basically seen as,
control.
if you keep the bad boys in control, you can deal with anyone's ego.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, interesting. And yeah, I wonder how that affected his relationship with his star player, Thomas, as well, going...
Come back from a summer of coaching Michael Jordan and Magic, these people that don't like you.
And also, they're like, we don't like their dirty playing. It's like, well, the coach, I reckon, had something to do with that as well somehow.
Yeah, and people were worried that Michael wouldn't like him as well because he'd coached the team that had been dirty to him, but they ended up getting on really well and played a lot of golf together.
Oh,
It
that's
makes
nice.
sense that you'd have the champion, he's like reigning 2-time championship coach at that point. Or who won in 91?
I'm not
You said they won in 89.
89 and 90, yep.
But yeah, that makes sense that's the coach you pick, I suppose.
Yeah, and because these are the biggest personalities in the world, you want whoever can deal with them. Coach
Jordan
them.
does come off as a bit, he holds a grudge as well. He still hasn't forgiven Thomas in this documentary that was filmed, I guess, last year. So it's, yeah, it's pretty wild.
I reckon that's a Michael thing.
Right.
My brother holds grudges.
Okay.
And any other Michaels listening, if you're a bit pissy over that, see if you're still pissy about it next week. You've proven me right.
91 was the Bulls' first win.
Oh, right. Okay. Yeah, right. 91, 92, 93.
And they beat the Lakers. There you go. So, that's the USA team. Superstars in their own right, all of them. Over in Lithuania, they had some amazing talent of their own. 3 players that I'll really focus on in this report who all won gold medals for the Soviet Union in 1988 and were all Lithuanian and amazingly were all from the same city.
Oh, wow.
Kaunas, which is Lithuania's second largest city. So it's not even like, of course they're all from there. That's the biggest city. It's the second biggest and it's just a really big basketball city. The first one is Arvid Sabonis. At 7'3", he was the tallest man on the team.
7'3". That's so big.
So he's 2 inches taller than their tallest guy, David Robinson. As a teenager, Sabonis had grown 4 inches in one summer, over 10 centimetres, and remembered returning to class that year and not being able to see anyone's faces anymore. Because
he got facial blindness.
Yeah. He was so close to the sun. He wasn't wearing sunglasses.
Wow. He's like, where'd everyone go?
He was literally head and shoulders above everyone else in his school.
That's like the summer holidays. I got braces, you know. Came back to school, couldn't see anyone's teeth. You know what I mean? It was the talk of the town.
Where'd they go? You've just got gums.
Why don't any of you have teeth?
Hello, Jess. Oh, stop gumming that sausage roll. It's disgusting.
Oh, you're just salivating on it. It's not going to break it down. You got to choke.
I'm getting there with a bit of tomato sauce. I reckon I'll be able to swallow this. Oh, no.
Stop using tomato sauce as lube.
I'll loop it up and I'll get it down there.
It's like a snake.
Yeah.
You still see it in your
I
throat.
just have to dislodge my jaw.
And now I digest for 6 to 8 weeks.
I went to school with a lot of snakes, let me tell you.
Your school and mine, am I right? Couple of social climbers. So Sabonis, he was a big man, 7'3", ridiculously tall. He was considered by many in the late 80s and 90s to be the best player outside of the United States. NBA Hall of Famer and former NBA MVP Bill Walton once described Sabonis as, quote, a 7'3" Larry Bird.
Oh, wow. Take that, Larry Bird.
Yeah.
You're 35. Get out of here.
Little Larry.
He was
a big bird.
Meet Big Bird. He was an all-round player and a natural team leader. Then we have Valdemaras Hochemis, the 6'3" point guard who was 5 years older than Sabonis and seen as an elder statesman of the game. Not as famous in the long run as the other two I'd mentioned, but still an integral part of the team. Homichus. I had to look up the pronunciation of several of these names. And finally, we have Sarunas Marcelonis.
Ooh.
Sport was an obsession from a young age for Sarunas Marcelonis. Early on, he had played tennis, but he'd later changed to basketball. A firework had exploded in his face at the age of 13, and he was badly burned.
Metaphorically speaking?
No, a real firework. They were apparently big in Lithuania.
Yeah, right.
Especially over New Year's Eve, they'd all set off their own fireworks, and he set one, he lit it, and then it didn't go off, so he went and was like, oh, I'll touch the fuse, and as he did that, it exploded in his face.
Oh, no.
You do hear, sometimes you hear like successful people will say it early in their life they had a firecracker lit under their ass, and that really motivate. I always thought that was a metaphor, but maybe that's just something that successful people do.
Yeah.
They get exploded early.
Yeah, if you see Michael Jordan's ass, he was horrifically burnt.
Yeah.
That's why he wears big shorts.
Ah, that's why.
It's painful to wear tie.
Yeah. The short shorts, they rubbed a little too much. He's the room to breathe.
But Marcelonis, he'd been burnt, and he prayed to make a full recovery, which he did. And from then on, he decided to apply himself to sport.
Yeah.
And he chose basketball.
So he sort of had a firecracker lit under his ass, in a way.
But then it didn't go off, so he turned around to look at it, and it exploded in his
Lit
face.
on his face.
Unlucky.
Still worked out in the end. He and some friends had installed their own basketball court made from paving stones in front of their apartment building, and then made a backboard from nailing together old planks of wood.
Oh, wow.
And from there,
My parents just bought us one.
he got
So-
good.
That's privilege.
Yeah. Ah, now I get it.
And you'll see in this next sentence, Jess, because as a teenager, he left his city to move to the capital, Vilnius, to go to college and hopefully to try out for the Soviet national team. When he left, all his parents could afford to give him was one bag of clothes and one bag of apples. And then they sent him on his way.
A whole bag of clothes.
A whole bag.
That's great. A bag of clothes. And what kind of apples we talking?
Rotten.
Oh,
that's
they're
no
one of the
good.
worst
Yeah,
kinds.
that sucks.
Still take them over Red Delicious, but yeah, pretty
Yeah.
bad. Rotten's like second or third worst.
Yeah, I reckon. That's
Red
no
Delicious,
good.
they don't rot. They just become even more concrete.
They will not rot.
Great building material, like Red Delicious.
Wow, so bag of clothes, bag of apples, off he goes.
Off
What
you
is he,
go.
a horse with a bag of clothes?
This is a well-dressed horse.
A horse with a panache for fashion? A panache for fash!
What am I meant to wear the same outfit every day? Oh, look, terrible. I need options. Where's my winter wardrobe?
Get the farrier back here. These shoes aren't doing it for me. I want to wear heels.
If you look down and he's wearing platform shoes with goldfish in them,
Discos too.
clipping and clopping along. So the difference in lifestyle enjoyed by the Lithuanian stars when compared to the members of the Dream Team is hard to overstate. First of all, they didn't have multi-million-dollar sponsorships. At the top of the sport, Michael Jordan had $1 million deals with Nike, Gatorade, Hanes Underwear, Coca-Cola, the list goes on. Patrick Ewing's annual salary in 1991 was $4.2 million. The next year, David Robinson was the highest paid player in the league, earning $5.7 million. And yeah, it's true that salaries in the NBA would actually explode over the next few years, and Michael Jordan pulled in $30 million a season by 1996.
Fuck.
But still,
They actually said that this Dream Team's got a bit to do with that. The worldwide popularity exploded because of the Dream Team.
totally, that was just massive.
So more money was injected in. So it's amazing how important in that way this team was. Whether or not that's a good thing, I don't know. Because it feels like $5 million is...
That's
That
good
should
money.
be enough.
Yeah.
That should be enough.
It just creates... Yeah, you wonder if it creates more issues when money gets so huge.
Yeah.
Although I don't know.
I'll never know.
I'll never know. And I won't find out.
No.
But still, so the money would get even better. But still, in the late 80s, early 90s, NBA stars still got paid a heap, especially when compared to the USSR counterparts. In the USA, they were sponsored by McDonald's, whereas as in Lithuania, they didn't always have meat, and sometimes people fought over bread.
Cool.
So a lot of the time, they went without.
That was at the McDonald's.
Yeah.
They didn't always have meat. And sometimes they had bread.
Veggie burgers again.
I just realised when we were saying that you were saying we'll never know about money, millions
Yeah.
making a difference. I meant I'll never learn by reading about it, but you meant because we'll never earn that much money.
Yeah.
That one didn't even come into my mind as a possibility. I'm like, I'm never going to read a book about rich people. But you were like, we'll never earn millions. It was like moments later, like, yeah, I guess people
we
can
won't
do that.
ever make millions, I guess. Yeah, I mean, that felt obvious.
Don't worry, Jess, I got it.
Yeah.
Sorry,
All right,
Bob.
mate. You didn't know what a fucking sugar bowl was. Don't you try to jump on with
Yeah, 1
intellectual
week
bop
ago.
over here.
1 week ago, you were confused for quite a while about a sugar bowl. All the info is, that you need is in the name.
It's
Well,
self-explanatory.
unlike you guys, I do make $150 million a year. And when you make that much money, you don't need to know what a sugar bowl is.
That's true.
Someone gets it for you.
I assume the sugar bowl man, one of my many servants, has something to do with it. I just don't know what it is.
And I frankly, I don't want to know. I'm above that.
Yeah, you are above that.
I pay
sugar
someone
bowl.
else to know what a sugar bowl is.
Yeah.
There's one guy who knows what a sugar bowl is, and that's his only job. That's the only fact he's allowed to think
How
in
much
there.
do you pay him?
$50,000 a year.
Can I have that job?
All right, well, you're going to have to forget everything else I've ever told you.
Easy.
All right.
But I know what a sugar bowl is.
Are you going to fire that man?
Oh, I can have two. There's a backup now.
Okay, great.
Yes.
Oh, you're a backup sugar bowl person.
So I used to be worried that what would happen if he died.
Yeah.
Then
Who would know what a sugar
Who
bowl
would know?
is?
I'd have to train someone, and I don't know what a sugar bowl is.
Yeah.
So it's a very complicated system.
Okay, great. Always have two. For when one inevitably
You need an
dies.
understudy. for every roll.
You're the Sugar Bowl swing.
Love that. Sugar Bowl swing. That's my cool dance move. I'm famous on TikTok.
So if any of that doesn't make sense, listen to last week's episode, the North Pond Stranger.
Also known as the Sugar Bowl incident. So the players on the Dream Team could afford Lamborghinis and Ferraris, but in Lithuania, you had to receive a permit from the government to buy a car, and there was an up to 10-year wait on actually getting the car. 10 years.
You had to get a permit to buy one, and then you'd have to wait 10 years to get it.
To get the car. And
They're made to order.
And not many people could afford them.
I don't know what I want to do next week. I couldn't jump 10 years. I'll put in an order for that for 10 years.
There's a famous joke that Ronald Reagan, the US president at the time, who was obviously throwing shade at the Soviet Union, he would bring out jokes that he was saying that, this shows that the people there, they know how to have a laugh, and it also makes fun of what the regime they're living under. And the joke is that a guy got told he was going to get a car in 10 years, and he said, thanks, is it in the morning or the afternoon I'll get the car? And the guy says, well, why does it matter to you? And he says, well, the plumber's coming in the morning. I've seen a clip of Reagan tell this joke. Big laugh. Actually, it's in the other Dream Team documentary. Yeah, it's very funny. Crowd goes wild at this joke.
The plumber's coming in the morning.
Yeah, but it was honestly that was part of their lives. They would have to wait to get the car. In the USA, luxury cars were a luxury item. In Lithuania, any car was a luxury item.
Wow, that's fascinating and awful.
It's awful. Even as a team, things were different for members of the Soviet basketball squad. Before the World Championships, they were taken to Soviet hero and former leader Vladimir Lenin's tomb in Moscow to see his dead body as a source of inspiration.
Yeah.
Let's go check out a body.
The
Let's
Lithuanian...
go dig up a body, hey.
Was their coach also a ghost? That seems like he's trying to do some sort... Is he trying to reunite himself with his own body?
Yeah, I think so.
Reanimate?
Coach is just like, you guys want to see a dead body? All right.
It'll inspire you.
Dave Lennon, good guy, bad guy?
Oh, complicated.
It's all black and white, Dave. Quick, give me an answer. He's more complicated than Stalin.
Well, because he started the revolution and was the early leader, but then he got sick and died, and then Stalin stepped up and then became very authoritarian.
Yeah.
I think Lenin's one of those people that I think has great principles, but I don't know. Then a lot of people say he laid the groundwork for the regime that would kill millions of its own citizens. So can he be that good a guy?
Yeah, right.
And I'm not educated enough to tell you one way or the other. I'm just saying some people really like him and some other people say he's a dog.
Okay. Well, that's my new knowledge on Lennon. Can't wait to bust that out next time someone asks.
Yeah. So some people...
A lot of grey area on that one, actually. I mean, he paved the way for Stalin, who most people say is a bad guy. And
really, yeah, still just in case, most people would argue, some could argue he was a bad man.
And but at the same time had pretty good principles. But I mean, what are principles when they just paved the road to Stalin killing a lot of people? Is that what he did wrong?
Yeah, in summary, you got to say he might have been a dog.
Okay. Might have been a dog.
But the Soviet players, they went round and saw the body as inspiration. The Lithuanian players apparently thought that this was a bit weird, and inside were laughing. They weren't laughing outside. They're getting a lot of trouble, but they were a bit like, why are we seeing this dead guy?
Why are we going to go check out a body?
But their lives were controlled by the Soviets. Before they were allowed to go on tours, they had to undergo a character analysis that declared them morally sound enough to represent the USSR.
Fucking hell.
And once they passed that test, whenever they went abroad as a team, they always had a team manager assigned to them by Moscow. Someone who was almost certainly a KGB operative.
Shit.
Just keeping an eye on them. This person's job was to monitor their movements.
Bowel movements?
Yeah. They go through it with a little stick. Huh? Peas? We don't have peas! Before the tours, they were told how to behave and where they were allowed to go and what they would be allowed to say publicly. They'd be followed wherever they went, especially when they were playing games in the USA.
Okay.
So
Wow.
always someone watching over their shoulders. And the USA blew their minds when they played there. They had new and interesting foods like chicken, orange slices, and banana.
Oh, yeah.
Banana
Banana's one of
blew
the greats.
It blew their minds. Banana.
Wow, banana.
I didn't have it.
Imagine,
Wait, so when is this in the 90s?
In the 80s,
80s
yeah.
and 90s.
imagine being blown away by banana.
Oh, the first time I came across banana blew me away. I'm assuming.
When you remember that?
Well, no, but I can assume.
I can almost certainly assure you it was a mashed banana. Am I right?
Yes.
Mashed banana, mashed banana.
Yeah, the Wiggles delivered it to me.
But the first time you have spaghetti, you do not want it to be cold.
I remember
No.
avocado the first time. That blew my mind. It looked gross to me, and then when I finally had it, I was like, "Holy shit!"
Yeah.
I'm the same. I was a teenager by the time I actually gave
Yeah, I
it a
was a
shot.
teenager.
Oh, I was late to avocado. Very late. Early 20s, I reckon.
And now we're all,
I'd had it before, but I didn't like it.
all big fans.
Oh, I'm
Yeah,
obsessed with
very
it. I've
pro
had it every
avocado.
morning for the past week.
Holy shit! You
Sorry,
are
brag.
doing well.
Found some Hass avocados in the
Oh,
supermarket.
oh.
Hass, not even that shepherd shit.
Fuck off, Shepherd.
Yeah,
You
Shepherd's
die in a
no
hole,
good.
Shepherds. Fuck you.
It's that
Oh.
rubber avocado, more
Yuck.
like it.
Yeah, nothing
Yuck.
complicated about that argument. If you're at a dinner party, Hass, yes.
Yes.
Shepherd, fuck off.
Fuck off.
Yeah.
For a while, only Shepherds in the supermarket, and I said, well, I'm done with this life. But then Hass came back, and I
Just
thought,
in
all right,
time.
just in time. I was nearly done.
You walk back from the ledge.
Said, all right then, I'll stick
You
around.
followed a trail of Hass avocados.
Yep.
Brought you back to safety. I'm so glad.
Yeah.
Come on, you're eating avocado every day.
I mean, they're like, 2 for $5, and one would last me 2 days.
It feels like I have oats and milk for breakfast. I'm Lithuania, and you are the dream team.
Because I can afford avocado.
Yeah,
Wow.
if you believe those boomers who draw cartoons in the newspapers.
Yeah, well, that's why you own several properties.
Boomers. Andrew Gaze. Gaze, he's writing those articles.
Yeah.
No.
Okay, boomers.
Obviously, international listeners would be well aware the Australian basketball team's called the Boomers.
Obviously.
And obviously, international listeners would be aware that Andrew Gaze is kind of like the Albert Einstein of the Australian Basketball Corps.
Yes.
Yes, thank you.
He's the genius of the layup. That's sort of what he's known as here.
Oh, yeah, the genius of the layup. Wow.
Can't dunk, but man, he can push it in off the backboard.
Oh, yeah. That little square's there for a reason.
Yeah. But he used to
It is.
he used to pass to a guy who could dunk for the Tigers.
That's how good.
Goes to Copeland. That was a great
Oh, yeah.
alley.
I reckon
Copeland.
every point that Copeland scored technically should go to Gaze, because without him, there's no Copeland without Gaze.
That's
So
teamwork, baby.
Gaze is number one in my opinion.
Yeah.
Just like Scottie Pippen, pass to Michael. Good work. Good decision. Scottie Pippen, MVP.
Mm-hmm.
When Scotty was out, and they show this in the doco a bit, he sat out for a while, kind of because he wasn't being treated super well. So he got surgery mid-season when maybe he could have got it out of season as a bit of a quiet protest or a loud protest. And the team really suffered without him. And with Jordan still playing, it's interesting to see. You can't, even on a 5-man team, you got to have pretty handy players
Yeah.
with you.
Can't put it all on one player to carry everything.
Just imagine if they'd kept Andrew Gaze.
What could have been?
Who?
The NBA.
Yeah, well, yeah. I'm pretty sure. I'll look that up. I'm pretty sure he won a ring for the Spurs.
Do you want me?
Maybe even with David Robinson, the Admiral.
No. That's impressive.
If true. I mean, either way, it's impressive. It's impressive if I've been able to come up with that fake fact.
That is impressive. Gazy is a bit like Steve Martin in that he's looked old from a young age.
Silver Fox.
Yeah.
Silver Fox in his 30s.
Yep.
Just maintained it.
Yep.
Oh, you better believe it. He won with the Admiral in 1999.
Well done, Matty.
Well done, Gazy. Look, I
Yeah.
mean...
No, you can take credit for his
Well,
win.
yeah, I think it was a team. It was definitely a team effort. I did as much on court as Gazy in that win, but
Oh.
Anyway, Dave, stop getting distracted. Do
All right,
go
sorry,
on.
we've got to go. So, the Lithuanians and the USSR, their players, they're always watched, but this didn't mean the young men didn't attempt to make the most of their situation.
did their main industry was making batteries, is that right?
And these
The
basketball
Lithuanians?
players?
Is that a thing? Lithuanian batteries?
Oh, no. Oh, no.
Am I right saying that?
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought so.
Just
So,
how quickly you hated yourself there.
well, I'm just starting to doubt it. Dave looked at me like that might not be right, so I'm not sure.
that you're confusing the word lithium with Lithuanian?
I'm hearing you say the same thing twice.
So they tried to make the most of the situation. Most of their countrymen weren't allowed to travel outside the USSR at all. Remember,
so they've got to, enjoy it as much as they can.
I mean, eat the chicken, the orange slices, the banana. Am I
Try
right?
a banana. You'll love it. Dave, remember that tiny, tiny banana you had in Thailand?
It was so small.
It was so tiny.
It was so small.
It was crazy. So it looked like a fake banana, but it was a real banana.
Oh,
Dave, remember that?
What a country.
So exciting. After we talked about oranges last week, I bought a couple of oranges. I'm going to go eat them.
Wow, we should be sponsored by the Fruit Council.
Ooh.
Does that exist?
I'd take free fruit for life, I reckon.
What is this becoming
Sorry.
my other podcast, Getting Fruity with Matt
Sorry,
and the boys all of
sorry.
a sudden?
Sorry.
I know
to step on your turn.
You have a patent on that idea. Remember I said David Robinson's salary at the time was $5.7 million a year?
Mm-hmm.
That is over $100,000 a week. Well, a Soviet athlete's salary at the time was $100 a month.
Oh, my God.
David Robinson would earn their yearly salary every 2 hours.
Ugh.
Their yearly salary?
Yearly salary
Every 2 hours.
2 hours.
Oh, my God.
But
that
the
sucks.
cost of living in America at that point was a lot higher.
Than Lithuania.
Yeah, they got such cheap power because of all the batteries.
Yeah, they stored it up.
Yeah.
So the Soviet athletes weren't well off by any stretch. So to make even more money on their tours, they would go shopping and fill their suitcases with as much as they could. They'd illegally take the purchases back to Lithuania and sell the items on the black market.
Oh, my God.
They risked jail time doing this because it was smuggling, but they went for it nonetheless. It became a competition as to who could pack the most in their suitcase.
Wow.
That's a fun competition.
That is sad that they have to do that.
I bet Jordan would have put money on it, though.
Yeah.
Bet you I can pack more in mine.
He loves a gamble.
Michael, stop taking money off us.
You have so much money.
I bet you I earn more money than you. Oh, wait, no, I'm not taking that bet. Where they went would depend what they would buy. In Italy, they'd buy jeans. In Spain, shoes. In Japan, electronics and TVs. And America, well, they had everything.
They buy food.
Were they allowed to bring it back?
Yeah, secretly, they'd smuggle it back. Once computers became popular, that was the must-smuggle item.
Once it became the person of the year.
Time really influenced the world with that.
Oh, you simply must smuggle a computer.
And the athletes could triple their money if they brought home a computer.
Wow.
But you buy it for $500, sell it for $1,500. When Sarunas was selected as the Soviets' #1 athlete in all of the USSR, he was asked to make a speech. This is the basketball player Sarunas Marcelonis. They handed him the speech and he was told he had to read it word for word. He disagreed with what it said because it had lots of praise for the USSR and their way of life and how free they are. He refused to speak. He was told, your wife is about to graduate university. If you don't do this for us, we'll make life very difficult for you and your family. So he had to speak.
Jeez.
So a high point in his career, being named the best athlete in the land, quickly became a low point because he had to spout all this bullshit.
Oh, wow. That sucks.
And he was ashamed of himself for a long time after that.
That's awful. I would have just read it kind of sarcastically. You know, they didn't say anything about what tone it had to be in.
Yeah.
I would have been like, oh, the USSR is so good. I would have just done inverted. I would have done question, like, fuck, what am I
Air
trying to do?
quotes.
Thank you.
It's so good.
Oh, man. I love it. I love the USSR. I love it.
Basketball.
I love the US. SR.
You pretend to turn the page.
Yeah.
Like they've typed it up. US, or turn the page. SR. Basketball sometimes got political. Sabonis, one of the other great players, was part of a club called Žalgiris, where Lithuania's best players played. They played a match against the Central Red Army Sports Club, a club that was made up of players from all over the Soviet Union except Lithuania. Žalgiris was seen as a team representing a political movement, a movement that wanted freedom for all of Lithuania. Žalgiris was expected to lose. After all, Lithuania had 3 million people, and the rest of the Soviet Union had over 200 million.
Okay.
Žalgiris fans packed the stadium and watched them defeat the Red Army.
Wow.
It was massive.
Whoa.
And which was bad news to the Red Army team because they were told under no circumstance can you lose to these guys, and then they did.
Oh.
Oh, did they all get shot? Or?
No, it wasn't quite that bad, but it was yeah, they were pretty upset with it.
They all got spanked, and not in a sexy way,
Oh,
like an
no.
owie way. You know, it's a fine line
An owie way.
between an ow.
Too much.
It was ow.
Oh.
Yeah, no fun spanking.
It was a massive slap in the face of the union and a huge morale boost for the Lithuanian team and its supporters. And it was actually seen as a big step forward for the country. That's how big basketball was in Lithuania.
Yeah,
Shit,
right.
I would never have thought. I don't know why.
They were thinking there was no chance of them actually beating the Red Army, but we just beat their basketball team, so fuck you.
Yeah.
Sabonis also made history in 1985 when he was selected by the Atlanta Hawks as the 77th pick for the NBA draft. That year, Patrick Ewing, future Dream Team member, was the top pick. Unfortunately for Sabonis, he was disqualified for not being 21 as the rules required at the time.
I was too young.
He was only 20 and a few months. So the next year, he was selected in the first round with the 24th pick by the Portland Trail Blazers. He was now old enough to play, but the Soviet Union wouldn't let him leave to play for an American team, so he missed out.
No.
Did the Hawks not know his age?
Yeah, I think there was some confusion over that because he was, so far away.
And then the next year,
Trailblazers tried to pick him.
And he didn't know that he wasn't going to be allowed.
No, he knew. He was like, people told me, you've just been offered a contract. And he was like, that means nothing to me because I know they're never going to let me play.
Right.
They won't let me leave.
Man, that
And, that would have been $1 million
I
contract.
wonder if he could. I wonder if that's why the KGB doesn't let him out of his side in America in case he sneaks off.
Defects and runs away. But also in 1985, during a game in Vilnius, Lithuania, the other absolute gun player, Marcelonis, struck a friendship with one of the opponent players, a guy named Donnie Nelson. Donnie Nelson was an American player participating in the friendly match, and Marcelonis absolutely smashed him that night, scored 40 points. He was supposed to be manning up on Marcelonis, and he just dominated him. But he was super impressed by the talent of his opponent, and as is often the way, it's not what you know, but who you know, and Donnie Nelson's dad was Don Nelson. Yeah. And he got him a 6 record recording contract.
Crazy. Never picked up an instrument in his life, but it was a ticket out of there.
Straight to the top of the country charts. Couldn't believe it. No, his father was Don Nelson, who a couple of years later became the head coach of the Golden State Warriors in the NBA. Donnie told his dad, Don, you got to check out this Lithuanian guy called Marcelonis. He's awesome. It was a complicated process, but the Golden State offered Marcelonis a contract. He was told he couldn't go, just like his mate Sabonis. But he consulted lots of lawyers, and he decided to sign the contract and risk being thrown in prison.
Wow.
Sort of hoping, it became a media story, and he hoped that the media hype would keep him safe.
Yeah.
Golden State coach Donnie Nelson was able to secure the contract. This is over several years. And in 1989, Marcelonis became the first Soviet player to be allowed to play in the NBA.
Oh, shit, he did it.
It was a 3-year contract worth $3.8 million.
Oh, my God. That's insane
more money than he could. He was making $100 a month previously. This is more money than he could ever dream of.
Wow.
And it was a culture shock for him and his family when he got to America. He couldn't believe that he could just buy a car on the spot. And perhaps even more amazingly, on his first trip to the supermarket, when he noticed that there was no rationing on fruit and vegetables, he started crying.
Oh,
You mean I can buy all of this?
You can have anything you want. It's fine.
Oh, amazing.
Far out. He was making $100 a month. I make more than that a week.
What?
Holy shit.
I wouldn't declare that out loud. The tax people are going to come for you.
I make more than $100 a week.
Is that true?
I don't even care who knows it.
Bloody...
I bet you get mugged on the way home.
Yeah.
I'm driving my Maserati home. Thanks very much. They're unmuggable.
$100 for that Maserati. Thank you very much.
I paid $100. I paid
Well,
a week's wage for that.
Week's wage. Wow. So 1989 is a big year. He became the first player to make the transition and not get punished. It was also a big year in world politics. The Tiananmen Square massacre took place in China. The Berlin Wall fell in Germany. The Romanian dictator Nicolae Ceausescu was executed by his people. And Lithuania really began to push for independence from the Soviet Union.
I think a few of those things have never been said so cheerfully.
or brushed over so quickly.
Well, I mean, it's just amazing that it was a...
Sass twins.
Oh, there they are.
Oh, well, there you go. Andrew goes just set one up.
Copeland
Came
slammed it in.
and laid it up. Thank you very much. No Australian has ever dunked in their life.
Well, Copeland.
No, that's not true.
I know. No, it's not true. We've got Andrew Bogut.
I think Copeland might have been born elsewhere. I don't think. So
Yeah.
that's why Gay's Australian born.
Yeah, he's
He
never-
alley-ooped it to
Yeah.
someone. I don't know. I feel like Copeland might have even been American born.
Yeah, but Copeland's American.
American. So that's
Do you think that there's a country out there where no one has ever done a slam dunk, and you could theoretically become the first person in your country in 2020 to slam dunk?
and it makes you like you're instantly the president. Yeah. It's like that Ricky Gervais film, The Invention of Lying, The Invention of Dunking.
How
You
did he do
invent
it? How'd they do it?
Whoa, what was that?
Not even possible.
I might be remembering correctly, but I think Liz Cambridge was the first woman to dunk at the Olympics.
Oh, yeah, maybe. Is that like in 2000 or something?
Yeah. No, not 2000. That's too long ago. More recently.
I don't know. That feels believable.
Dave, keep going and I'll look it up. I'm pretty sure that's right.
All right.
That's cool.
So Lithuania, the takeaway from that paragraph that I really brushed over was they began to push for independence from the Soviet Union, and all these other places were also pushing for independence and more rights. A movement headed by Vytautas Landsbergis. Incredible name.
So many of the names sound like Roman Empire-ish. They
Yeah,
sound
totally. Landsbergis. Vytautas Landsbergis. Totally. He declared Lithuania's independence.
Did he have the ability to do that?
No. But he went for it.
I love it.
And on August 23, 1989, approximately 2 million people joined their hands to form a human chain
Whoa.
spanning 675 kilometres, 420 miles, across the 3 Baltic states, Estonia, Latvia and Lithuania. 2 million people joined hands.
What?
Well, this is pre-COVID-19.
Yeah, it certainly was.
I'm never shaking hands again,
No.
let alone holding hands.
Oh, I'm looking forward to shaking hands.
No, you can't.
Can we
do it.
hug again one day?
Absolutely not. In a year.
Okay.
We can hug in a year
10 years. Morning or afternoon?
because the plumber's coming in the morning. But
I'm
I've got
hugging
time
him.
Lithuania officially declared independence on March 11th, 1990, but it wasn't strictly that easy. The USSR weren't going to let them go without a fight. First, they put in an economic blockade and just tried to make life difficult for the independence seekers.
You reckon you've already done a bit of that with the gulags?
Yeah. But
Am I saying that
then
right?
now they're like, no, we're not going to give you anything. So absolutely cut them off from the rest of the world. Inflation soared and it was a very difficult time to be in Lithuania.
Shit.
Hoping to capitalise on the unrest caused by the inflation, the USSR sent in the tanks.
Send in the
Oh
tanks.
my God. I'm honestly starting to quite dislike the USSR.
Oh.
Oh, here we go. Crazy opinion alert.
There we go.
Here it is.
Oh, what's he up to?
And what about Lenin? What do you think? Dog or not dog?
Well, it's tricky. There's a lot of grey area there. He had a lot of good principles, but he paved the way for
Yeah.
these tanks that ended up going into Lithuania in 1990.
I reckon a good school principal will set anyone right. So
Yeah.
I'm glad he had a few ones.
Also,
The Pun King's back in town. Pun
You got
master.
banned.
you got pwned. I looked it up. Liz Cambridge made Olympic
first layup.
history by being the first woman to dunk at the Olympics.
Ah, sick.
In 2012, not 2000. She was 9 years old in 2000.
That would have been
That was
more
why I
impressive.
thought it was impressive.
That would have been awesome.
I was dunking by 10.
Also in the year 2000, that was the first time they allowed ladders at the Olympics.
Yeah.
So it wasn't that impressive that Liz
And
got
children.
up there. Yeah. The Harlem Globetrotters won every medal.
Yeah.
It was amazing. So, they're hoping to capitalise on the unrest caused by the inflation. The USSR sent in the tanks. They thought they'd be welcomed, but they totally misjudged it. Lithuanians flooded the city to defend their independence.
When would tanks ever be welcomed?
They thought, basically, they've already told them to fuck off. They thought they'd...
Well, they thought they'd make the inflation so unbearable
Oh,
that they'd
they'd
be
be like,
welcomed
"Oh,
back.
thank
Please,
you."
your system actually wasn't that bad.
Right.
Our new system, I can't even afford bread. Before, there was some bread.
But they would also probably be aware that it's only that dire because of those
Yeah.
the powers that those tanks represent.
They did not do well. And Soviet soldiers unleashed violence across the city and shot and ran over hundreds of people.
Oh, my God.
14 of whom died that night.
Oh, my God.
This was under the cover of nightfall, but the atrocities were well documented. There's a lot of video footage out there.
Shit.
The leader of the Landsbergers called for his people to occupy the city the next day, and following the attacks, large crowds of more than 50,000 people supporting independence gathered around the Supreme Court building. People started building anti-tank barricades and setting up defences inside surrounding buildings. The Soviets realised that they'd lost, so they left for good, and independence was recognised by other countries on that day. Lithuania became the first country to leave the USSR, and Landsbergis became chairman of the country, basically their new leader. They were finally free.
Wow.
Whoa.
It's such an inspiring and brutal story.
Awful.
It's crazy. And they were the first of many to regain their independence. In fact, by the end of 1991, so not that long later, the entire Soviet Union was no more.
Yeah.
So that was the first domino to fall, kind of?
Yeah. And it had been sort of fracturing for a long time, and that's what Lithuania sort of sensed there. This is if we're going to go for it, this is it.
Wow.
When did Turkmenistan and the Turkmenbashi? It wasn't too long after that, I think. I guess it was.
Was it
all around the same time.
mid-90s?
It was early. I feel like 92 is a number in my head, but I don't know. It was a while ago. We talked about him.
Fascinating story, though.
Yeah, it's just you can't imagine. Go any of those sort of stories. Just like what a wake up call to how lucky we are.
Totally, and
to
live
here and now.
A lot of the basketball players in the story, they had to watch on TV because they're either in the NBA or a few of them had moved to different USSR nations to play in their basketball squads in their leagues, and watch their country, and they were kind of like, "Are we going to win this, or are my family going to be in trouble?" Yeah,
Shit, that's full on.
Back over in the USA, the Dream Team got together for the first time for a training camp in California. It was time to see how the best players in the world would actually play together as a team. There was a whole lot of talent and a whole lot of egos. They practiced together and everyone played like they had something to prove. A few days later, they had their first taste of playing on the same side when they played a closed exhibition match against some college players who were, of course, stoked to be playing against these legends of the game.
God, I'd be terrified.
These college players in Spain, this is all in Spain, or is this still in America?
This is in California.
California, yeah.
The Dream Team coach was Chuck Daly, who I mentioned earlier, who'd been hired for his talent at handling and managing large personalities and egos. And this was his first chance to see how his players would go together as a team. It was expected that they'd all go for the ball and basically hog it as they showed off to sort of impress each other. But actually the opposite happened. They all passed a lot. No one wanted to be the first one to go for it in front of the other legends, and they played sort of like sheepishly.
Oh, wow. That's interesting. I would have thought it would be definitely the opposite.
They were like, oh, if Michael's not going to go for it, then I'm not going to go for it. Or if Carmelone's not going to go for a 3-0, maybe I won't. The Dream Team didn't know how to play together, and at halftime they were getting trounced by these young kids.
Holy shit.
That's fascinating.
They're crazy. The assistant coach, Mike Krasuski, asked head coach Chuck Daly what they should do, and he said, we're all right. Don't worry about it.
I suppose this is just like a practice match. You would kind of let that happen.
Yeah.
You wouldn't be like, get to show the ball. You'd be like, all right, let's keep these egos in check.
Yeah,
okay.
well, the game went on, and by the end of it, the college team had smashed the Dream Team.
Wow.
The best players in the world were beaten by a bunch of college kids.
What a great story for those college kids.
Yes.
They still dine out on that story.
Imagine.
I watched the video. The media were let in after the game, but they tried to keep the fact that they lost a secret. They made sure to clear the scoreboard.
Yeah.
Because it would be a huge embarrassment to the league.
Yeah.
That they've just picked 11 of their best and they got beaten by some college kids. It's since been speculated upon by Mike Krasuski, the deputy coach, that Chuck Daly could see that this would happen and basically threw the game by not subbing in players or making any tactical adjustments in order to get his players' egos in check, as you just said, Jess, and also to realise that despite the hype, they weren't invincible.
Yes.
The players did start listening to him more after this.
Yeah.
And the next day, they played a rematch with the college kids, and the Dream Team beat them by nearly 100 points.
Yeah.
So it was all... And from that time on, they they had the mentality of we've got to play with our hearts and properly because we could lose.
Yeah,
and imagine how embarrassing that would be.
One of the main changes they made was a bunch of the players, Jordan organised this, they got a VHS tape of Andrew Gaze's famous layup. And they brought that in as a tactic the following day.
Yeah.
And they laid their way up to victory.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah.
I actually believe that Nike slogan is just a shortening of what they would say. They would say, just do it like Gazy does.
Yes, that's right.
That's what they all said.
Yeah, yeah.
That's
Carl
what the
Malone's
full
like,
thing is,
just remember, do it like Gazy does.
Do like Gazy.
Charles Barkley, I'm doing it like Gazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like Gazy, I want it if I could be like Gazy. Is one of the team tattoos.
They've all got them on
Yeah.
their left butt cheek.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What would Gazy do? Win with a
That's what
layup.
it says on the right butt
Yeah.
cheek. Win.
Win. In brackets, in case it wasn't clear, Gazy. He won a lot of NBL championships.
He won heaps.
So,
The original NBA.
And I mean, like, do you want NBA or do you want NBL championships?
So, I mean, what are the... So, I guess all the countries around the world have NB something. So, Spain's NBD, the National Basketball District, that sort of thing. Is that true?
They include, their whole country is one district.
Yep. Is that... Wow, that is fascinating. I stumbled across that fact.
Right. You really...
The more you know.
You really set me up Andrew Gaze style.
Yeah. You Copeland me. What a sweet dunk that
Yeah,
was.
wow. Well, not a dunk. They can't dunk.
District.
Layup. You set me up for that layup.
Yeah.
No Australian player has ever dunked. Even though he's not Australian. Still, no Australian player has ever dunked.
He was living in Australia for quite a while by that point. Lost the ability to dunk.
Right, once you enter our country, you have to leave your dunking abilities at the door.
Yeah, you
will-
relinquish.
You'll be
that.
fine.
Yeah.
We cut your Achilles tendon so you can't jump anymore.
It's a brutal country, but we got lovely beaches.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Wonderful cafe culture.
Oh,
That water will sting your Achilles if you don't let it heal first. But if you wait, it's beautiful. With dominant performances in the Olympic qualifying tournament of the Americas, the Dream Team was ready to play. But they couldn't have been as keen to represent their country as the Lithuanians. Now the country was free, Lithuania's basketballers who were playing around the world were determined to represent their country at their first Olympics since 1928.
Wow, that's epic.
I'm so shocked that basketball was in the Olympics for that long. When did you know when it came
So
in?
it came in 1936, but Lithuania hasn't been at the Olympics as their own nation
gotcha.
since 1928.
But even 36 is surprising.
It's early, yeah. Awesome.
But there was one big problem.
Oh.
The country had no money.
Oh.
So often, these things come about like, they change leaders or whatever, and it's like, yeah, freedom, but it takes a while to actually get things going. So they didn't have money to send a basketball team over to Barcelona. Now playing at the Golden State Warriors, Sarunas, one of the star players, reached out to Donnie Nelson, the guy that discovered him and whose father was Golden State coach. And they started running some fundraisers, speaking at events, and basically going door to door to raise money for the Lithuanian team. Every dollar they got, they sent it back to Lithuania.
Imagine that, a multi-millionaire coming to knock on your door. Do you mind if you give us some money to send over some of my mates? Mate, you earn multi-millions of dollars.
He's earning 3 point something, which is insane. I'm guessing they probably need a little more than that to bring everyone over, but that's fucking crazy. So they're fundraising.
Yeah, they're raising money to send their brand new country.
But you're allowed to be sponsored in the Olympics, so they couldn't get like a Nike or someone on board.
Well, looking back, it would have been a great move by them, but they did not. They did it the hard way. One of the local writers of the Bay Area, George Shirk, wrote about the Lithuanians' plight in a local newspaper. The headline was, "For a real dream team, take a look at Lithuania." The article was read by Jerry Garcia, Bob Weir, and Mickey Hart, who were all huge basketball fans, but also members of the rock band The Grateful Dead. Soon after Sarunas was playing basketball in Detroit, the same night the Grateful Dead were playing. The night before the Grateful Dead were playing in the same stadium.
Oh shit!
So Sarunas and Donnie Nelson, they went a little bit early and they went to the gig. Sarunas was fascinated by the smell of the smoke in the arena and wondered how he'd be able to play there the next night. People lighting up a few doobies in the crowd.
A few deadheads.
Oh, yeah? Huh?
I didn't realize. I knew they were a big band, but I didn't know they were like a stadium band.
Big time over there, big time.
Yeah, they're one of those bands that's way bigger in America than they are here, right?
Yeah,
There's a few of those kind of bands. Rush is another band that's apparently real big in America and Canada.
These bands that I'm like, I know who they are, but I couldn't name the
couldn't
songs
name
on
a
their
song.
greatest hits. Yeah.
Mm.
But yeah, no, they were big time, and they were playing at the same stadium that the NBA players played at. After he went to the concert, Sarunas met the band, who were again smoking something backstage.
I see.
Nice.
They moved on to something a little heavier. The band was sympathetic to Lithuania's plight and agreed to sponsor the team and pay for their transportation costs
No way.
to the
Yeah, I think
Olympics.
Grateful
The
Dead.
Grateful Dead sponsored the Lithuanian basketball
Do
team.
they wear Grateful Dead
Wow.
logos on their
Because of an
uniforms?
article they read.
Yeah,
That's
and they were big
sick.
basketball fans, and they were like, "Oh, yeah, we'll help you out."
Far out.
So that was a huge gift. They offered to pay to get them over to the Olympics, but that was not the only thing they gave the team. They also had some T-shirts and shorts designed as an eye-catching uniform. They sent over a box of tie-dyed shirts
No.
designed by New York artist Greg Spears. The shirts feature a skeleton slam dunking a ball, and the rest of the shirt is this amazing tie-dye. Not a typical Olympic uniform, but the Lithuanians, who under the Soviets were used to grey and dreary colours for absolutely everything, they were stoked to wear them.
Oh, that's so good.
And they wore them everywhere, to the games, to the press conferences around the city.
Oh, you got to share photos of those.
Oh,
on
they
social.
are
So good.
You can still get them. I really want one.
Amazing.
It meant that they were visible at the Olympics, so they'd go everywhere they go, and obviously most of them are very, very tall men. 7'3", one.
Yeah.
Wearing clown outfits.
And they're wearing these really, really bright shirts, so that everywhere people went, they're like, oh, that's the Lithuanian team, and they sort of got a rep that way. Sort of
Awesome.
became branding for them, and it created a lot of buzz around the team because people would look into it and be like, oh, I haven't played at the Olympics since 1928. That's amazing. And it became like the must-have souvenir at that Olympics was one of these style of shirts. So yeah, it really helped put them on the basketball map. At the 1992 Barcelona Olympics, 12 teams qualified for men's basketball, and they were split into two groups. The top four of Group A were USA, Brazil, Germany, and Croatia, who also had quite a story, having declared independence from Yugoslavia in 1991. So they were also a brand new country.
Yeah, right, yeah.
Group B included Lithuania, Puerto Rico, Australia, and the CIS, also known as the Unified Team, which was a team made up of the countries of the former Soviet Union, except the Baltic states like Lithuania. So they were in a group with their former peers, including Russia, which they saw as their former oppressors.
Right, damn.
Ah, interesting.
I think because everything had happened so fast that rather than those other countries that had just declared independence, they were allowed to, for one last Olympics, compete under one banner.
And the players are like, I don't want to miss the Olympics.
Yeah, all right, cool, yep. And they were still seen as a big dominant force because there's still
Right.
190 million odd people that
Yep.
they're drawing from.
Just not the Lithuanians
Not
who made up the majority of their team.
Yeah, that's right. And they're like, we don't want to lose to these guys because they're our oppressors. In Group A, the Dream Team lived up to their hype. Matt mentioned this on his Michael Jordan report, but they won their games by an average of 44 points. The hype that followed them was unbelievable. Everywhere they went, they were treated like rock stars. Magic Johnson recalls it because he's such a fun, smiley guy. Everywhere he's like, we'd get on the bus, yeah. We'd wave from the bus, yeah. We'd leave, yeah. Everywhere they'd move a little bit, yeah. The round mound of rebound. Charles Barkley also lived up to his reputation of saying and doing whatever he liked, despite his
He
pledge.
promised.
Before
He said, I'll be a good boy.
Before the team's first match against Angola, he said to the media, I don't know anything about Angola, but Angola's in trouble.
Okay, that's not that bad, I guess.
And he was right. They smashed Angola both on the scoreboard and on the court. This is the controversial bit. At one stage, the score was 46-1.
Okay, mercy rule.
Barkley courted huge controversy for violently elbowing an opponent who he claims, to this day, had been elbowing him throughout the match. He said, he elbowed me 3 times. I let it go twice. He did it again, so I cracked him. It was portrayed in the media as a superstar lashing out as an amateur from Angola. Barkley later said, somebody hits me, I'm going to hit him back, even if it doesn't look like he hasn't eaten in a while.
Oh, Charles.
Michael Jordan recalled the incident, said, that's the same guy who just asked you for an autograph, Charles. You think he's not intimidated by you? Because that's the thing. Before the match, The other players would want their autograph.
No.
They'd get photos with them after the match. And Charles even said about this, he's like, I'm about to whoop your ass. Why you want a photo with me?
Yeah.
But they were like, the biggest thing in the world.
Whoa.
And despite the controversy, Charles Barkley gained legions of fans during the Olympics, and he became one of the most memorable personalities of the entire games, mostly because of his press conferences. And he would travel around Spain, Barcelona, and people just loved him wherever he went. So his profile was really raised during the games. And the scores were amazing. They beat Angola 116-48, down Germany 111-68, smashed Croatia 103-70, took care of Brazil 127-83, and outshone host nations Spain 122-81.
Whoa.
Long story short here, the USA smashed everyone and easily made the semi-finals. Lithuania, on the other hand, were more of a quiet achiever, but they had a great start to their games. They beat China, Venezuela, and Puerto Rico, no worries. Their fourth game was against the unified team made up of the Soviet players.
The evil empire to them.
It was a lot more personal. Sadly, they lost against their old rivals, 92-80.
Oh.
But they went on to beat Australia, so they made it to the semi-finals. But it was a real dash to the pride of the country.
Did they make it past them, though?
Yeah, so it was...
CIS were eliminated, but...
No, so they were... CIS, Australia, and Lithuania all progressed to the semis. So there was 6 in each group, and the top 4, after playing everyone, playing the other 5, went through to the semi-finals.
Yeah, right.
How many? I'm picturing 2 versus 2 in the semis. How many games in the semis?
I said semi-finals, I meant quarterfinals.
Gotcha.
And then
cool.
the winners of that become the final 4 for the semis. And then that goes on to the gold medal match and the bronze medal match.
Yeah, cool.
Who's the unlucky sucker who drew the dream team in the quarters? Sometimes in these kind of tournaments, you're like, if we win this game, we have to play the dream team.
Yeah.
So it must be strange sometimes when you know that kind of thing.
You want to know who the unlucky suckers were?
Oh, was it us?
It was us.
No,
was-
we got through to the...
It was poor old Lithuania.
Oh.
We made it about us.
It was
He's been talking about Lithuania for
Just
a
the
couple
way you
of
said it,
hours.
I thought it was going to be us, even though I knew that they ended up... No, was this the year No, I'm confusing a different year. Anyway.
So it was the dream team versus Lithuania. The winner would go into the gold medal match, and the loser would play off for the bronze medal.
Oh, right. So this is the semi.
So they
now.
made it through to the semi.
So they both won their quarters, obviously.
Yep. The Lithuanians knew the talent of the Americans and had seen what they'd done to every other team, and basically had no fantasies about beating them. But they did wanted to put on a respectable showing, and they did. They were just stoked to be playing against such amazing talent. Only Marcelonis, who played in the NBA, had ever played against anyone that good.
Wow.
One of the younger Lithuanian players, Arturas Karsanovas, even started taking pictures with a camera from the side of the court. He's now like a high up NBA exec, but he said at the time he was like, no one else is taking photos, so I figured I'd try, and they all turned out terrible.
That's awesome.
The Dream Team did smash them 127-76, but it wasn't embarrassing. The Dream Team was smashing everyone.
Yeah, it sounds like a pretty similar scoreline to all the other games.
Yeah, so they did pretty good. That meant that the USA went on to the gold medal match against Croatia. Croatia put up a big fight and got closer than any other team, but the margin was still 31 points, with the USA triumphing 117-85.
Wow.
Triumphing.
They lived up to their reputation and put their country back on top of the basketball world. The team had averaged 117.3 points per game. Chuck Daly hadn't called a single timeout throughout the entire tournament.
What? They just wiped the floor with
He didn't
everyone.
need to.
Amazing.
Michael Jordan was the only player to start on court in all 8 games. They let everyone else cycle through, and they all started the part of the starting 5, but he was the only one that was always part of the starting 5. But he was the second highest scorer. Charles Barkley was the team's highest scorer with an average of 18 points per game.
18 points a game.
Scottie Pippen led in assists, and Karl Malone and Patrick Ewing tied with the most rebounds.
The round mound got out rebounded.
But what about Lithuania?
Yeah, what happened to him?
Well, they played off for the bronze medal, and fate would have it, they had to rematch the only team that had beaten them. Their former country the United team.
Damn.
Oh, that's perfect.
I know. They were told they had to win at all costs.
You're saying Australia didn't even make the top 4 this time? I thought that was our spot.
Not this time. Sorry, Gazy.
Poor Gazy. He deserved better. He deserved a gold.
Bet he averaged more than 18 points a game.
Croatia knocked them out, I'm afraid.
Oh, yeah. Beaten by a pretty decent team.
So they were told they had to win at all costs for the pride of the new nation. Their first matches as a proper country, not just some Soviet colony. That's how people used to view them. And they were like, no, we're our own team now.
Yeah.
We're big boys.
They couldn't be beaten again. Their head coach told them, men, you're playing for the people of Lithuania. People are watching you, losing sleep over you. They were told the whole country was either watching them on TV or listening to the game on the radio. Think about that pressure.
Even making the top 4 is so impressive. Where they had to fundraise just to get there. It's an amazing story.
Yeah.
It's wild. I had no idea.
No.
It's amazing. It was a close game the whole way through. Just before halftime, the United team were up by 4 points, but the Lithuanians clawed it back to be up by 6 points when the buzzer went.
Final buzzer, halftime.
Halftime buzzer.
Oh, wow. So they piled it on.
Up by 6.
Valdemaras Hochimus had been struck in the head during the first half and he was bleeding quite badly.
Head injuries bleed a lot. It's fine.
The leader of their country was there, Chairman Landsbergis, the man who'd started the revolution that got them free from 50 years of Soviet domination.
What a funny change he's gone through. He's leading a revolution and soon after just sitting on the side of a court watching some basketball.
And then it would, like, he'd be on TV and it would come up with Chairman of Lithuania. So what? He went up to Hochimus and asked him if the injury hurt, and Hochimus replied, I can't see anything through the blood. Chairman Landsbergis told him, don't worry about it. You're spilling blood for Lithuania. Badass.
Somebody help him.
Badass.
Put a fucking bandage on him.
No.
Genuinely,
He
a
can't
little
see.
cut on your head will bleed like a motherfucker. Just wipe it up, find the source of the blood, whack a bandage on it
For Lithuania.
for Lithuania.
Do it for the country.
You're
You're
spilling blood
bandaging your
everywhere.
head for Lithuania.
You're creating trip hazards for everyone else for Lithuania.
Your blood's clotting for Lithuania.
Your blood isn't clotting. We should get you tested
You're bleeding out.
for Lithuania.
The men hit the court for the second half. And the second half overall went to the United team. But would it be enough overall? With 6 minutes to go, there was only 1 point in it.
Oof.
The United team outscored Lithuania in the second half 45-43. But it wasn't enough to overtake. Lithuania won the bronze medal by 4 points.
So good.
Yeah. The
Bronze would look good with their tie-dye as
Yeah,
well.
it looks good. The Lithuanian stars really shone that match with Marcel scoring 29 and Sabonis contributing 27.
Whoa.
It was the proudest moment in the country's athletic history. There were huge celebrations in Lithuania and in the locker room. The chairman came in and sprayed Marcel with champagne, and then they all started singing the anthem. It sounded terrible, but they did it with pride.
Yeah.
So good. It's one of the weird quirks of these kind of team tournaments that bronze you get to win, where silver you lose gold.
Yeah.
So it'd be more satisfying to win the bronze medal than
Then
to go in
lose
with the
because you
silver.
got yeah.
Yeah,
It's
that's
a
true, yeah.
funny thing. So it's almost perfect for them.
Yeah. It worked out really well.
I remember, we don't have time for another tangent, but I'll tell it anyway because I've started. Going, like, as a teenager, going into a grand final game, and I got there as the game before us was finishing and they were doing like a medals presentation, and I was like, wait, if you come second, you still get a medal? And they're like, yeah. I was like, ha! And I was so relaxed that whole game because I knew either way we were getting a little trophy or something. I was like, oh, this is going to be all right. The other team were like making mistakes because they were really nervous, and I was just like, fuck yeah, going home with the trophy.
Get silver.
And we won.
You won a silver medal.
Got it though. So pretty sick.
Yeah.
Anyway, I just think, yeah, that's such a good point that you win bronze or you... I would go into a gold medal match like, well, I'm getting a medal either way. You know, I'd be stoked. I don't care. I want a medal. And that's why I'll never be a professional athlete.
That's why you made it to the top. With that sort of ruthlessness you have.
You know how competitive I am.
Yeah, Michael Jordan was stoked at the times he came runner-up. You mean I get a participation award?
I love that.
Well, in 18 months, the small nation of just 3 million had gone on from declaring independence to winning on the world stage.
Whoa.
A team sponsored by a rock band from a place many had previously never heard of won the bronze medal for their people. Lithuania added a gold medal, also that tournament, when a discus thrower, Romas Ubartas, won gold.
Yes, Romas.
They're all such Roman names. He sounds like Caesar's offside.
Romas Ubartas.
That's great. I feel like this is a win-win for both dream teams.
What?
I'm glad the American dream team won, and I'm glad Lithuania got the...
They needed it, the US Dream Team.
They needed it.
I bet they had that would have been good for their egos because they
needed
a little
it.
boost.
Well, it actually meant the Lithuanians stood on the podium next to the world-famous members of the Dream Team.
Of course.
And you better believe they proudly wore their Grateful Dead tie-dyed T-shirts.
Yeah.
Sarunas Marcel said, "The Grateful Dead believed in us when we were nobody, and we're going to pay tribute to them."
Oh.
When you started telling this story, I thought it was just going to be they made it and they played in the Olympics. I didn't realize it was going to be them winning a bronze. Sick.
So 12 men received bronze medals. 3 of them already had gold medals from the previous Olympics. But they'd won that for the USSR. This time they'd won bronze for Lithuania, and it meant a lot more.
Wow, that's nice. Yeah, I forgot they'd been in the Olympics for the USSR. So that part isn't so new for them, but playing for Lithuania would be pretty
Totally
special.
different. And they had to beat Andrew Gazer's Boomers to get there. That would have, I imagine, I mean, you breezed over it, but I imagine that would have probably been the biggest moment for a lot of
A very tough game.
Yeah. Beating your hero like that.
Oh, my God. Hope they bloody got a photo with Gazy after that. And he would have been very obliging.
Yeah, he would have.
Unlike Charles Barkley.
Charles Barkley
asked
Gazy for a photo.
Yeah, of course he did. He's Gazy.
I reckon, yeah. I imagine that Gazy would have made a funny little quip as well.
Oh, I would assume so, yeah.
He used to do the sports news on Channel 10, and then he'd do his footy tips. He'd do his tips for the AFL, and then shoot a basketball over his head or something.
What a man.
Did he ever get it in?
Oh, probably every time.
3 out of 5 times he got it in.
It's Gazy.
That's
Of course
Gazy.
he did.
I reckon he probably did okay.
Has he got an Order of Australia yet?
I assume so.
So Andrew Gaze to you, please. Just to wrap it up here, after the Olympics, all the members of the Dream Team, except for Magic Johnson and Larry Bird, returned to the NBA. The Dream Team had taken the NBA to a whole new level, and interest in basketball exploded around the world. So, as Matt was saying, it really did put it on a new stage.
Yeah.
Since 1992, the USA has won gold at every Olympics, except in 2004 when Argentina won gold, and the USA won bronze that year.
Bronze. That's a big drop.
Because they still think of this as the full Dream Team because after this, they did find it hard to get the best of the best to play, didn't they? And this was already a golden age in the NBA as well. But I think usually they wouldn't be able to get the...
But I'm pretty sure these days, the bronze won a gold medal.
Right.
Lithuania won bronze again in 1996 and 2000.
Whoa.
Both times beating Australia and poor old Andrew Gaze. Gazy competed in 5 Olympics and came fourth 3 times.
That's such a... I remember a couple, but yeah, to me, that's pretty cool that Gazy went top 4 at the Olympics 3 times. It's sick.
And as for our Lithuanian guys, Valdemaras Hočimas, the man who bled for Lithuania, went on to be an assistant coach on the Lithuanian national team and still coaches the top team in the top Lithuanian league. Sarunas Marcelonis, he ended up playing 8 seasons in the NBA, scoring 4,631 points. He later founded the Northern European Basketball League after being president of the Lithuanian Basketball League for 10 years. He's an inductee of both the Naismith Memorial Basketball Hall of Fame and became a member of the FIBA Hall of Fame.
Wow.
So he's really well respected. And then there's Arvid Sabonis. Arvid Sabonis finally debuted in the NBA. This is the guy that got picked in 1985.
Yeah, that could get there.
He finally debuted in 1995.
10 years later.
Wow.
See, that was some quick math.
So as a 30-year-old?
He was a rookie at 31.
That's so good.
He had injuries in his knees and he was well past his prime. One of the doctors that gave him a medical before the signing said, Arvid could qualify for a handicap parking spot based on this x-ray alone.
Oh my god.
But they still signed him. Despite this, he played 7 years in the NBA and scored 5,629 points, and his team made the playoffs every year.
7 years till he was 38.
Yeah, and he was already shot. His legs already shot at 31. He's in multiple Hall of Fames, and in 2011, Sabonis was voted as the next president of the Lithuanian Basketball Federation. Just finally, current basketball fans might know the name Sabonis because his son, Domantas Sabonis, was born in Portland while his father was playing for the Trailblazers. Well, his son Domantas currently plays in the NBA for the Indiana Pacers and was named an All-Star this year in 2020.
Oh, cool.
So the future is very bright for basketball in Lithuania.
That's awesome.
So it lives on. Oh, that is the end of my longest report ever. Thanks
Dave,
for sticking with me.
Well
what a
done.
great report. Did it go that long? A breeze by to me.
I think we're sitting at nearly a couple of hours here.
Fuck.
So.
Right. It felt like that went absolutely flew by.
Yeah, that was great.
Hey, can I give you a couple of quick Andrew Gaze stats?
Oh, yes,
Yes.
please. No better way to finish the night.
Always.
Because I just quickly looked these up and some of these blew my mind.
If you could just text me some random Andrew Gaze facts over the next few days, I would love that.
We should make a website called Random Andrew Gaze Fact Generator.
like we were joking about how good he was, but he dominated the NBL. It is wild.
Oh,
He
yeah.
which obviously is the original NBA.
Yeah.
Yes. The NBA won.
Yeah, exactly. He averaged 44.1 points in 1987.
He averaged 44 points a game.
Yeah.
Fuck me. Charles
That's the
Barkley
highest ever single
averaged
season
18.
points per game average. That's the record season. 8-time NBL 3-point field goal leader. 10 times NBL free throw percentage leader. Obviously NBA champion 99. Who cares? He was the NBL MVP between 91 and 98 every year apart from 93.
Fuck.
Say again?
91, 92, 94, 95, 96, 97, 98.
MVP.
NBL MVP.
Wow.
15 times All NBL first team. 14 times NBL scoring champion. 14 times. He was the NBL Rookie of the Year in 84. I love this. Is maybe my favorite. 8 times NBL most efficient player.
Oh, yes.
What does that
He
mean?
uses energy well.
Did people even bother going to the awards
It
ceremony?
says
It would be
after
so boring.
1997, the award was discontinued because Andrew Gaze was the only player winning it. They just stopped giving it out because he was the only one. 6 times Gaze medalist, which, you know, at the time wasn't named after him, but now is named after him, and that's the best international Australian player of the year. Yeah.
Far out, yeah. I mean, an incredible player.
That's
But
wild. What a
could
freak.
never dunk.
He-
Sad.
Yeah, so he averaged over 30 points like for the first 15 years of his career almost. 29 his first, sorry. Then from 85 all the way through to 2000, he averaged over 30 points a game,
That's
peaking
fucking,
at over 40 in 87.
That is bad. That is so much.
Yeah, wild. And then obviously, yeah, NBA champion in 98, 99. Anyway, he should have had his own bloody report. But that's a mini Gazy report. Little bonus report there at the end.
So worth it.
That brings us to everyone's favourite section of the show, the Andrew Gaze stats section.
Now that that's done.
Every week we have to do it.
But we also have a fact, quote, or question section of the show. And it has a little jingle, I think.
Fact, quote, or question.
Ding.
You never forget the ding.
Oh, you
Nobody
can't.
ever forgets the ding. So in this section of the show, if you support us at Patreon, at patreon.com/dogoonpod, on the Sydney Schoenberg Deluxe Memorial Edition level, you get to give us a fact, a quote, or a question. I'd read out 2 a week. I don't read them until I read them. You also get to give yourself a title. This week, Larry First is the first one we're going to do, and he's given himself the great name, by the way.
Yeah,
Larry
on ya,
and
Larry.
First. I love all of that. He's given himself the title Director of Foreskin Tabulation and Wedding Planning. Okay. Well, let's see if this quote he's given us gives us more context there.
What's a foreskin tabulator?
Don't ask questions.
And wedding,
Dave, I don't
everything.
wanna
This
know.
is. I mean, it's quotes from the Bible, so maybe this will help us out here. From the Bible, 1 Samuel 18-27, quote, David took his men with him and went out and killed 200 Philistines and brought back their foreskins. They counted out the full number to the king so that David might become the king's son-in-law. Then Saul gave him his daughter Michal in marriage. Bible's got a lot of stuff in there.
So you go out, you bring back a whole bunch of foreskins, you count them out in front of this man, and then he says, all right, you can have my daughter in exchange for 200 foreskins.
That tradition has evolved over time to the wedding ring, but it used to be 200 human skin wedding rings.
Is there a chance that if it was 190, he would have said not enough?
Not enough.
I'll have to go back get 10 more.
10 more, please.
I was certain that story was going to go. He said, these are 200 foreskins. He'd say, thank you. And it turned out that the men were still alive. That they just chopped off
and
their
that started circumcision.
That was like the way that they survived or something. Because obviously 200 foreskins, that doesn't mean the men are necessarily dead. You haven't chopped off their head.
They're in pain, though.
Yeah. Oh, you better believe they're limping for 2 weeks.
No, I'm pretty sure in biblical times there was great anesthetics.
Yeah.
So it would have been fine.
Wow.
Larry
Okay.
first. Fantastic quote.
Thank you for that.
A
Marcel-
memorable one, an inspirational quote. I think
First-
we're all taking something different out of
First
that.
quote from the Bible and first foreskin quote. So thank you.
Yeah, you
Living
got
up
a
to
couple
your name.
firsts there.
Secondly, Stephen Headley, giving himself the title of Do Go On Brewer Extraordinaire. Well, that was the end of this. Got a question. And the question is, if you were to make your own Do Go On beer, what kind of beer would it be and how would it taste? Well,
I
let's
think
start. It
Jess
would
and
taste
I
delicious.
will handle this one if you don't mind, Matt.
Yeah, Matt.
Of course.
Take it back
I
seat
think
here,
we'll go.
champ.
I think we'll go with a West Coast IPA, I believe.
Oh, great.
Because the East Coast is a little bit too hoppy for me. Is that right?
Yeah, it's like a cloudier.
Thank you.
It's yeah. I think they're both quite hoppy, but the East Coast or the NEPA, the New England IPA, is the cloudier one.
Matt, what's that one I like from Brisbane?
Oh, you like the passion fruit goza?
Yeah.
Or goes, depending on who you
That's
talk
the first
to.
time all three of us have had a beer and said yum.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
the best.
Does that mean we should make that kind of
Maybe
beer?
we should make some. Yeah, maybe we should have our own take on it. Another fruit. What kind of fruit would you do?
Passion fruit.
Passion fruit. So we're just gonna rebadge
Yeah.
the 7 Bells from Green Beacon Brewery
Yeah.
in
That's ours
Brisbane.
now.
Okay.
What about dragon fruit? I
No.
doubt there's already.
Passion fruit.
I'm looking that up.
I love passion fruit, and I do like that beer.
Okay, it could be apple. Oh, wait, that's cider.
No, I don't like apple.
Let's
that
stick
much.
to
I like
passion
apple
fruit.
to eat. I don't like apple to drink.
Okay, interesting.
Mm.
There you go. I love learning about you.
Yeah, well,
I
I've
like to-
opened up there, haven't
I
I?
eat bananas, but I don't like banana-flavored things.
Oh, okay. I think I'll do bananas. Like you don't like banana smoothies sort of thing.
Or like banana bread. I'm not that big
Right.
on... Yeah, I don't like
Banana
banana
bread.
milk.
I'll take banana in all its forms. Banana beer.
Ugh.
So we get So what a beer? What's your no-go beer?
But all beer. I don't
Okay.
like beer.
For me, I really don't like really bitter stuff like VB.
Yeah.
Too bitter for me.
Mm.
Okay.
I
Well,
like fruitier.
the fruitier ones. Yeah. So maybe that sort of sour-ish.
I could not have made it
Grocery.
any clearer. It's
We're
that
we're doing the
exact
7.
passion
Stefan. Well, I don't wonder because he is the Do Go On Brewer Extraordinaire. Maybe he's going to brew this beer.
Okay, so just get in contact with the people who make the passion fruit one that I like and just say, hey, do you
There's
mind-
nothing you would do to change it.
No, it's perfect.
It is a very nice beer.
What about it came in a bigger can to get more?
Well, you can just get a pint of it.
Or
When
it's-
Matt and I did Razzle Dazzle in Brisbane, my cousin, who I hadn't seen for easily 10 years, came to the show, and it was an average show that he came to as well. When we walked out of our room, he was standing there applauding, and then he bought us pints of that beer.
Was that the third show? The first 2 were fun from memory.
First 2 were great. Third one, weird.
It's funny when your family come
They ruin it.
and it's the dud show.
they ruin it with their support.
Yeah, and then he was so happy for us.
It was
and bought
great.
us beers.
We had a few beers after that, and I forgot about the show being a bit
Yeah, it doesn't matter
a
anymore.
bit less fun than normal. Thank you so much, Stefan, for letting us talk about beer for a bit.
Thank you, Stefan.
Yeah, I feel like Jess has not given us any room to explore there at all.
Oh, what about just a high alcohol content? There's like a 10% beer or something.
Oh, like an imperial. Let's call it. You know, like they do imperial stouts or double IPAs. They're sort of the almost fortified beers where they normally 5 or 6%. Those ones go up to 9 or 10 or 11.
Oh.
Maybe we do an imperial passion fruit goza.
There we go.
Goes.
We'll put our own brand under there. I like it. Our own spin.
Yeah.
What if we add a little bit of raspberry?
Yeah, great.
Passion fruit
That's
and
what I was thinking.
raspberry?
We can add a bit of some other flavour in there.
Yeah, that's
Some
different.
sort of, how do you
Can
say?
we make it like a Neapol? What's that ice cream?
Neapolitan.
Neapolitan. We make it like a Neapolitan, right? So we have 3.
Yes.
So at least one that Bob can drink.
Yes.
And that one's the passion fruit one. Dave, you want to do the vanilla-y one or the chocolatey one?
Vanilla-y, I think.
Okay, do you have another thing that we could do? So we got one that's a sour, and that's sort of the strawberry fruity one, which is passion fruit and raspberry.
I think vanilla's got to be like a plain one, doesn't it? Like something something that you can drink heaps of in summer. You know,
Oh,
like a
yeah.
very light sort of, not to
Like
the
a pilsner
taste.
or something.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, okay. Or like a session pale ale or something.
Yeah. Something that basically you need to add lime to get a bit of flavour, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Something
okay.
like that. So
Or it's like
suck it back.
a Corona or something.
Yeah, something that goes well in humid weather.
Right, okay, yeah. So, yeah, something like real low on flavour.
Yeah.
Water, soda water.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
That's Dave's
Hello.
dream beer.
Oh my God.
Soda water with a bit of lime in it.
Either that or chocolate Big M milk.
I think that's there are more and more of these beers that are like milky beers and they actually add lactose into it.
That sounds, is it awful?
I've had some that are really nice.
Okay.
Yeah,
It
and then you're like,
sounds
oh my
awful.
God, this is a milky beer, but it tastes good. Yeah, it's wild what they've been doing. And then I guess we finish, because that's a fun idea. You have this, and you buy it in a 3-pack.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
cool.
And it's like the do go on pack. The passion fruit one's got Bob's face on it. The soda water's got Dave's, or the pilsner or the whatever it is, the lighter flavour.
Oh my God, it's a shandy. That's what Dave wants.
Shandy.
It's a beer with a bit
Hand
of lemonade.
shandy. Hand shandy is like a euphemism for a hand job.
A hand shandy.
Have you heard of that
No, I
one?
haven't. I've heard of a
You're having
handy.
a hand shandy out the back of
and
the
I've heard of a
shed.
shandy.
I might have made that up then.
No, I've heard that before.
Hand shandy. What?
Why?
It's like complicating a thing without really hiding it at all.
And also, it's hard. It's much harder to say.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Say handy.
Say wristy.
Wristy. Say hand job. It's all easy.
I think my beer is called Say Hand Job. That's my beer.
Instead of it's a saison style, but it's called say hand job.
Say Hand Job. Fantastic. There you go. Put me down for a saison.
And then I guess, with chocolate, you got to go. But it has to be some sort of maybe even a chocolate stout.
Oh yeah.
And then we have the 3-pack. You can have them all.
You can have them all. You can have one.
Yeah, it's a 3-course meal.
Exactly.
I love this idea, Stefan. If you can make it in your, I assume if you're a brewer extraordinaire, you've got the skills. So
the
that'd
time.
be great. Yes, no doubt about that. Thank you for that question, Stefan, and that foreskin quote, Larry.
Thank you.
That's what we'll call him now. Foreskin.
Foresquin Larry. I like
I love
foresquin.
foreskin.
I like foresquin. One of our old favourite catchphrases. Well, and the other thing we like to do is thank a few of our other patrons, and you can support us as well at patreon.com/dogoonpod on the, I forget what level, but maybe DB Cooper level. It's all clear if you go to the site and it says what all of them get. Some levels get bonus episodes. This month we're doing 3 bonus episodes, including our first episode of Phrasing the Bar, the podcast that celebrates the movies and life of actor extraordinaire Brendan Fraser.
I'm so excited.
Dave's also coming up with some sort of a game
Yes, they'll be
Or something
coming out
episode.
very soon.
and
this
a mini
week.
report, which I'm, fingers crossed, hoping it's going to be about Andrew Gaze.
Oh, we've heard so much tonight.
You could do a triptych of bonus reports about famous Aussie sports people.
Oh yeah.
So I've done Greg Norman,
Yeah.
Andrew Gase. Who else we got? Thorpe,
Thorpe, yeah. Obviously not Bradman.
Thorpe,
Gotta be Thorpe.
Dawn Fraser.
Dawn
She
Fraser
actually would be good.
Yeah, Dawn
Fraser
Fraser
has
good.
an amazing life.
interesting life. What about...
Yvonne Goolagong
Yeah.
won multiple Grand Slams in the tennis world.
What about the first woman to dunk at the Olympics?
Mm.
Oh, yeah. Non-assisted by a ladder, though. Who's that?
So, yeah, that's okay. You got me on technicality there. Yes, she did have a ladder.
9-year-old Liz did it.
Okay, so what kind of game we got to thank some of these other supporters here?
I was
Bob?
thinking of giving them like their on-court nickname.
Okay.
Love it. That's good stuff.
That all
So
right?
we've had the mailman. We've had Clyde the Glide.
I think Clyde the Glide's my favourite.
It's really
Jordan's not super kind to him in the doco. He says something like, or
Who
people
sucks?
people were saying it's a real matchup between the two, and he hated being talked about in the media as his equal. He's like, he's a pretty good player, but he's not in the same conversation, basically.
But he doesn't
Wow.
consider anyone else in the conversation, does he?
Yeah, I guess not. Well, yeah, I guess not. Depending on when it was, I think after Magic had retired and stuff. Clyde the Glide, what a name. Okay, so firstly, I'd love to thank Drew Peisner.
Peisner feels like a pretty good...
Dave, you're being the pie man. You've probably...
Yeah, something pie related? Call him Shepherd.
Oh, yeah, Drew Shepherd
Shepherd's
Peisner.
pie.
That's good.
I mean, Drew's been a long-term supporter. Obviously, that's why we thank him. He's one of the ones that slipped through as well, so he's been waiting for a good year and a half for that shout-out. Hopefully, I'm saying your name right, and I'm sure people correct me all the time after I mispronounce their names, but in a way that I'm like, I'm not going to remember this by the time
It
I
comes
say your
around
name
again,
again,
yeah.
unfortunately. But I love your name anyway.
But I mean, you figured out that it was you.
Drew
So
Peisner.
And it's great because it also works on the court. He shepherds the ball.
Yeah, Drew the Shepherd
The
Peisner.
Shepherd, yeah.
I love that as a nickname. Fantastic.
Shepherds it to Andrew Gaze. Bang. Who then gives it to Copeland.
I should, of
Who
course, say
dunks.
that he is from West Hills in California.
in
Drew
West
the-
Hills, California.
Shepherd Peisner. Playing basketball.
Awesome. Thanks, Drew.
I'd also love to thank, from location unknown, Will Ross.
Will Ross.
Do you think he's from the center of the earth? Is he some sort of mole person?
No, Dave.
Uh,
You can't accuse someone of being a
Right.
mole person.
What about
He could just be private.
Rachel and as the nickname?
Yes.
Will Rachel and Ross.
Will, we were on a break, Ross. The breaker.
The Breaker. Will the Breaker Ross.
That's good.
I love that.
You're good at this. Bob, this is your forte.
I'm great at nicknames. I came up with Bob.
That's true, actually.
Dave came up with Cougar or something.
Cobra.
Python.
Cobra.
Cougar. That's better. We'll call him the Hey Cougar.
Dave Cougar.
Love it.
Mellencamp.
Sounds great.
You just want anything, don't you?
Thank you so much, Will Ross.
Will
the
Ross.
boss.
Will
He
Ross,
would have got the boss his whole life, so I think he's pretty stoked to mix it up with the Breaker.
May I thank some people as well?
Please.
Yes, please.
I would love to thank from Willard in Western Australia.
In Western Australia, born and raised.
on the... I was trying to think of something Western Australian.
Salt Plains, no, on the
Yeah.
sand dunes is where she spent most of
her
her days.
We are, of course, wanting to thank Kate McGilvray.
Oh, Kate McGilvray.
McGilvray.
I've added a letter
McGilvray.
in there. Kate McGilvray.
What
Fantastic.
about
The Stinger.
Oh, that's better than what
Oh,
I was going to say.
what were
That's
you going
really
to
good.
say?
I was going to say Old Gil.
Oh, that sucks. The Stinger's way better.
Old Gil.
He's one of my
Dave.
favourite quotes from the characters on The Simpsons.
You could
Yeah.
have said anything there, and I already had that sucks locked
Sass
and
twins.
loaded.
Fair enough. Thank
But
you.
that was pretty good.
Old Gil.
Old Gil is good.
Old Gil.
Oh.
I need
Is
this.
that Fred? Oh, don't put him on.
Okay, Kate, you can choose between Old Gil or
The Stinger.
The
Stinger.
Stinger rules. That's an absolute cracker.
the Stinger
The
rules.
Stinger rules.
Fuck yeah.
Dave just did a...
I did a shucker.
Shucker.
I shuck.
Oh, I shuck.
I know how to shuck.
Thank you so much, Kate.
The Stinger. That was also
The Stinger.
one of Mo's patented boxing moves.
With
When
the
he wrapped
barbed wire
around his
wrapped
glove.
around a boxing glove.
We used
I
to
call
call
this
that the Stinger.
Stinger.
Uh,
I would also love to thank, from a little closer to home, in Yarraville, here in Victoria, I would love to thank Paul Fleer.
Oh, Paul Fleer, what
Paul
a man. Do you remember the show? I think you were even on it one year, Footy Foot.
Yes.
Paul made the letters for the front of the desk.
Get out of town.
Yeah.
Wow.
A great man, Paul Fleer.
What about we call him David Letterman?
Oh, David Letterman. It's sort of like the mailman always delivers, the letterman.
He's the letterman.
He always pens the goodness.
That's great. The letterman.
The letterman also always delivers.
He does. Top tens really well.
Yeah.
Thanks so much, Paul.
Paul over there, the letterman.
Fantastic. I
So
appreciate
good.
all the support. We all
Paul's
appreciate
partner Bridget also has helped me with my colour wheel.
Oh, yes.
And you know Bridget too, don't
And
you?
now I realise I know Paul as well.
What a man.
You might know him
Beautiful,
as the Letterman.
gentle energy.
Just
Paul
know him as
Fleer.
Paul.
Yeah.
You know?
I know him as Paul.
I just know Paul.
I just know him as the letterman.
Yeah.
Always delivers.
Or the Letterman.
Sorry, Paul. Sorry I didn't immediately I mean, I bumped into you in the street one time and I recognised you immediately. I feel like that's more important.
I never recognised people outside of context. You probably didn't know he listened to the show. I forget. What an
I
honour.
remember now.
He doesn't just listen, he supports the
He
show. What a
supports
ledge.
the show.
Paul
Paul,
Fleer.
Love your work,
you're
Paul
the
Fleer.
best.
Legend. I mean, everyone we've mentioned is a goddamn legend.
Can I thank two more legends?
Thank you.
Please.
I would like to welcome into this exclusive club, all the way from Austin, Texas.
Oh, stay weird.
Is that a thing?
Yeah, Austin, stay weird. That's a Willie Nelson's town.
Oh, fantastic. He
Stay
actually adopted a Lithuanian player, took him under his
Yeah.
wing, and he became a country sensation. I would like to thank Tim LaFuente.
Oh my god.
Holy shit.
Oh my god. Sorry, it's keep Austin weird, not stay weird.
Stay
But
weird.
could Tim's nickname be
The stayer.
Weirdo?
Oh, weirdo.
Because he's from Austin?
Tib Lafuente. What a name.
That's
Incredible.
amazing.
Holy shit. I feel a little bit high. That name has given pleasure right into my head. It's released some chemicals.
Oh, are you happy for the first
feel-
time in 30 years?
Yeah, I'm like, what is this feeling? Tim Lafuente. Holy shit. That is great.
Appreciate your work. What a guy. Weirdo.
God,
What a
I am good at
guy.
nicknames.
Jeez.
Weirdy.
It's crazy how good I am. Weirdo.
Oh, good on
Keep
you.
Austin Tim Lafuente weird.
And finally, I would love to thank, and I'm sure you guys have left this for me. Did you just do this on purpose? From Wales in a place called Abertridwer. Oh my God.
It'll be pronounced completely
It
differently.
ends in a DWR.
Yep.
Fantastic. I mean, I have ultimate respect for the name, but I don't know how to say it. Abertridwer. I would like to thank Robert Smith.
Robert Smith. The
Ah.
least Welsh-sounding name I've
I know.
ever heard.
Can I
He
just
would
say
get it all the time, the Cure, but
Thank
that
you
is
so
a
much.
great nickname.
Moby
the
Dick.
cure?
Oh,
Because he's a whale.
yes.
He's from Wales.
Okay.
So his nickname is Moby Dick.
Well, I reckon if there was a Welsh player in the NBA, they'd probably make a big deal out of it. So they would probably get something like that. It'd be
Yeah.
Okay, you saying that like it's not a fucking genius nickname.
Moby Dick is great.
Robert.
It's a fucking whale. Name
What-
another whale. Go on.
What about just the
oh,
Dick?
Free Willy.
Robert the
Moby.
Dick
What about
Smith.
just Moby?
Robert Moby Smith?
Oh, that's good.
That's good. Moby's good.
Well, again, you got options there. Robert the Cure Smith, Robert the Dick Smith, Robert Moby Smith, or Robert Moby Dick Smith.
What about Robert Tom?
Robert Moby Dick Smith is probably the best one.
Robert Tom Jones Smith.
Oh, Robert, it's
Ooh.
not unusual, Smith.
Robert Pussycat Smith.
Robert Sex Bomb Smith.
Robert
got-
Catatonia Smith.
You got
Do you
heaps
know
of options.
Catatonia? They had two big songs, well, like Triple J big in the late 90s.
So
Mid
huge.
to late 90s. Yeah, they were big when I was delivering papers. I remember hearing them a lot, listening to Triple J as I rode my bike around the neighbourhood. And one of their songs was called Mulder and Scully.
Oh, okay.
And Dave's a big X-Files fan, so I thought you might have known that one.
Right, that's it. Your nickname is Scully.
Oh my god.
Robert
it just keeps
Scully
going.
Smith.
Robert Scully Smith. That's not bad.
Not bad at all.
Yeah. You got a lot of options there, Robert.
I
The
mean,
man of many names,
Maybe
Smith.
too many. I'm so sorry.
What
He'd
about
be stoked. A guy with a surname Smith. I got all these options. I'd been getting Smithy my whole life. The Chip, the Big Dipper, Double Dip, Robert
Dip.
Double Dip Smith.
Oh my God!
Can't
stop.
double dip the Chip Smith.
There's too many good nicknames. How will he choose? He's gonna have a different nickname every day for the rest of his life.
Well, I mean, if you really want, he'd go with the ultimate nickname, which is, of course, Old Gill.
yes, the
someone
ultimate nickname.
Someone use it, please. It's so good.
Old Gill. Don't put him on.
Well, thank you so much to all those supporters, but that brings us to an even more exclusive club, the Triptych Club.
Oh.
Dave, you want to explain it?
Well, people that have been supporting us at the shout-out level on Patreon for 3 consecutive years, 36
Or above.
short months, or above, and if you've been doing that for 3 years, when you get to your 3rd anniversary, we will give you a shout-out, induct you into the club. Jess will come up with a little hors d'oeuvre, a little cocktail, something that we'll be serving that week. We might talk about the live band that you'll be witnessing. We often get some of the world's greatest musical artists dropping by our exclusive club. And we'll, of course, thank you for your fantastic support.
That's right, Dave. And this week in the Triptych Club, we're serving herb and garlic pizzas.
Whoa.
And escargot.
Whoa, well, I was with you early.
As in like the chocolate ones or as in the snaily ones?
Chocolate?
Okay, I'm back on board.
Fantastic. Those little pastries that people call escargots.
Oh, yeah, that's it. Yep.
I did, because that's why, because they're round, they're like swirled.
Yeah,
like
they have a
snail
swirl
Are
like
they
a
shell.
shell.
chocolate or are they like raisins or something in it?
No, I'm back out.
I think it's often chocolate or sometimes it is hazelnutty.
Oh,
I'm back in.
Oh, God, this is a
You're
roller
flipping and
coaster with you,
flopping.
Matty.
That's
Love
why
it.
they call me Matt the Flopper Stewart.
Oh, that's not why they call you Matt the Floppers. And you know it.
You know why they call you the flopper.
Yeah, check your criminal record, mate. That'll
You know.
remind
The
you.
chop flopper. Always in appropriate scenarios. All right, so, dearie me.
Mostly funerals. It's weird. He keeps doing
That's
it.
what they would have wanted.
It's open caskets
They-
and you just go up and flash them.
They write him letters beforehand.
I
One
don't flash
last
them, I flop
time.
them. Hey, it was what they wanted. They said it was how they wanted to be sent off. Okay, moving on. So coming into the Triptych Club, getting in behind the velvety rope and in this beautiful swanky area. Did you say who's playing music this week, Dave?
Oh, no, actually, I think we're going to have some music from Roy Orbison.
Wow, the big O.
Oh.
But an unusual DJ set.
Oh, cool.
Roy Orbison's DJ.
Is he the
All
first?
techno.
Is he the first deceased artist we've had playing in the club?
No, I think we've had Louis Armstrong doing a bit of backup before.
Right. Okay. So the precedent's been set. Well, there's
And,
three.
and Dusty Springfield was singing it a while ago.
Appropriately, 3 inductees into the Triptych Club this week from Shropshire in Great Britain, Telford to be precise, Thomas Price. Thomas the
welcome.
Mice Price. From Portland, Oregon, where the Trailblazers are from, Henri, or Henry probably, T. Wilhoit. Henry the Trailblazer Wilhoit. or Henry the Glide Wilhoit. And from Texas, in Dallas, Texas, Matt the Black Panther Alexander. Dallas is where Pantera's from. Pantera's Spanish for panther.
I can see where you're going with it. I like it.
Love it.
I like it.
So they're the 3 inductees. Grab
Welcome.
yourself an escargot.
Yes.
And there's a range of flavours, including hazelnut, raisins, or chocolate.
And also snail in a pastry.
Yeah, it's a bit gross. Sort of did it as a bit of a joke and it was not good, but I didn't want anything to go to waste.
Joke was not well received.
No.
So welcome in, all of you. Dave, I believe, is working on a page on our website to
Yes.
have you all...
I definitely am. I just got onto the Microsoft team. Bill Gates is not getting back to me though.
Well, I think he's laying low since the protests in Melbourne last week, where they were calling for the death of Bill Gates
It's very confusing.
Is that
because of coronavirus, because it doesn't
Right.
exist, and it's come about because of 5G.
Yeah.
Remember
But
that.
it doesn't exist.
But if it did, it was because of 5G.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so
And I'm not a scientist, but that checks out to me.
Yeah.
So that brings us pretty much to the end of the episode, I think, Dave. Anything we need to say?
no, just
Yes, we do have to tell people they got to wash their butts.
Wash your butts
Remember to
Yes.
wash your butt?
and hands, right?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
And be
The
careful.
government asked us to pass that on.
Be careful around fireworks.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially your butts or your hands.
And
Your
yeah,
faces.
always remember, do what gays did and does.
Win.
What would gays do?
Win.
All guys do win. If you want to get in contact with us, we've got a website. It is dogoonpod.com. I mean, it's not as flash as we'd like it because Bill Gates won't return my emails. But you can go on there to get links to our merchandise. You can go on there to get links to our Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter.
We should get mugs.
Yeah.
I think mugs is a great idea.
I want a mug.
I love mugs.
I love mugs so much. I have too many mugs. I want more.
I want one more mug.
One more. That's what you always say. You always say one
I
more.
want our mugs on a mug. I'm so keen on that. I love a mug. Drinking an Earl Grey out of my own face. Then I will have arrived.
My boyfriend.
That'll show Mrs. Xavier. Yeah. He's going to be a nobody, is he? Oh my God. Sorry about
wow.
that.
You okay?
No,
Who's
she was
Mrs.
she was
Xavier?
very supportive to
Sounds
me.
like a bitch.
No, well, she's a good teacher, but she was the one who revealed Santa isn't real to me.
Oh, of course.
Which I know, if kids are listening, isn't true. I found that out since. Santa is, of course, real. But yeah, for a little while there, I thought, Mrs. Xavier, you've broken my heart.
Why would she say that?
A weird lie like that.
That's psycho.
Yeah.
Yuck.
Imagine, I mean, if parents are letting kids listen to this and that's the thing that they get annoyed with.
Yeah.
We say words like, well, Dave doesn't have time to bleep.
Yeah, there's just no time.
No time. Just imagine
But you can imagine
beep.
the word that our Prime Minister says, but offends Americans. Universal healthcare. Ugh, why'd I do that?
Yeah, so get in contact with us if you'd like to suggest a topic. There's also, that's what I was going to say, you can link to the tab or the Google form that you can tell us what topic you'd like us to do on the show through the website, as well as our Patreon, patreon.com/dogoonpod. But I believe that is the end of us
Yeah.
for this week.
No.
We will be back. We will return
Well,
in Goldfinger. At the end of James Bond, it
for
always
your
says,
ears only.
it says
Return
James Bond
in.
will return, and often it says the name.
Dave, for your ears only.
It's good stuff.
Dave.
Dave,
Dave, validate me.
Dave, my name's Go On. Do go on. Is that anything?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah,
All right, they're
it's
all the
genius.
references I get. I'm Dr. Evil.
Oh, we gotta go. It's so late here. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll be back next week with another episode. But until then, we'll say thanks for listening and
What would Gazy do?
Goodbye!
Win.
Laters.
Bye. And win. Wash your butt.
This podcast is part of the Planet Broadcasting Network.
Visit planetbroadcasting.com for more podcasts from our great mates. I mean, if you want. It's up to you.